What up? All right, how's everyone doing? It's your boy Sports PSP. Welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic Friday evening coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. I am your guy, Sports PSP. Unfortunately, today BRF won't be here. He's not feeling well, but BRF, wish you well, brother. Wish you a speedy recovery. Love you. And thank you for your contributions, not only on the Sports PSP podcast, but also Brandon from the Blocks podcast and also Undisputed World Champs podcast. And we know for a fact we cannot do the Sports PSP podcast from Columbus, Georgia's own Undisputed World Champ. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. BRF, get well soon, Frank. Get well soon, bro. Man, it was a drag. I got your message right after I got off work today, and man, it's gonna be a drag doing the show without you. But what better way to start the weekend? If you can't do it with the Bermuda Triangle, that being PSP, BRF, and Undisputed, let's do it with the Awesome Alliance.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Champ, I'm going to let you go. The Los Angeles Lakers, Tuesday night. Luka Doncic's first game against the Dallas Mavericks. 19, 15, and 12. He did have a struggling game shooting from the field, and still, to me, he's still not in shape. But 19, 15, and 12. 19, 15, and 12. Even on Luka's worst day, he's still better than most. And this is the photo that encapsulates everything. That right there,
Woo!
letting Nico Harrison know, boy, you made a stupid decision to trade a superstar like a Luka Doncic. And champ, some of the passes that Luka made, the behind the head pass to Austin Reeves for the three, getting LeBron James open from the three. LeBron played well as usual. Austin Reeves played well. And a few days ago, we saw the Lakers beat the Denver Nuggets. And Luka was putting up a show as well. So my thing is for you, champ, I think the Lakers, your Lakers, could really make some noise. If once Luka gets in better shape, better condition, I really do think they can make some noise in the West because we've seen Luka last year beat the Thunder. And right now they're what, fifth, fourth seed in the Western Conference as we speak. They
Mm-hmm.
could actually challenge the rest of the West. I don't have them winning a championship, but I do think they could actually make some noise. And look, my skepticism with the Luka trade, how is he and LeBron going to work? For LeBron, it works because, again, to have another playmaker and passer like Luka, it takes some of the offensive load off of him, which is great for LeBron. He could also move off the ball. I really do think that the Lakers, and shout out to JJ Redick as well. He has actually done a good enough job, a very good job this season. You know, there was some skepticism about the head coaching hire because of LeBron, but he's proven that he could coach. So, champ, how do you feel?
In the great words of a famous rapper from Detroit by the name of Marshall Mathers, it's all bad now. It's all bad because y'all done messed up now. What was you, Dallas? What were y'all thinking giving LeBron James Luka Doncic? What were you possibly thinking? I mean, if you really look at it out there, it's kind of like it's kind of like at his peak, the Boston Celtics trading Larry Bird and teaming him up with Magic Johnson because
Or
that's what it
Michael
looks like
Jordan?
right now. Yes. What were y'all thinking? What's so funny about that is the biggest concern was defense. We're number one in defense the last 17 games. We're 7-2 with Luka in the lineup. And just poetic justice that he just goes back and beats the Dallas Mavericks. Not to mention, what the shout out to my main man BRF. He said it was gonna happen. The injury to Anthony Davis already. It wasn't even 2 games in. So you're only 9 games into this trade. You're already looking crazy. In the great words of Usher, they got you sitting here at the red light, driving around, looking out for you. It's a shame. I don't know what the Dallas Mavericks were thinking at this point, and big ups to my Lakers for making the trade, because you not only have a superstar for now, but you have a superstar for the future. Now, Luka, you gotta look. We gotta get you away from the po' boys and them daiquiris and that hookah and them beers. You gotta stay away from that, man. You gotta do better. So,
Yeah, because
but
there was a report in which they had the Mavs had concerns about beer and the hookah part. But I
yeah,
think Champ, they're exaggerating, because at the same time, you knew he had weight problems before and he was still producing. I just think, to your point, they didn't want to pay him that max.
no, I don't look. I always say this: you don't have to lie as an organization. If you were uncomfortable with paying him that type of money because you knew you were not going to be able to make other moves outside of that once you paid him, it's okay to say that. It's okay to be honest. And I wish more organizations were honest about what they were saying and what they were doing. If you didn't feel comfortable with that, because once you give him that max, you can. I don't think you can sign too many other max players. And plus, there's a lot of conspiracy theory going around about how the Dallas Mavericks in 10 years may not be the Dallas Mavericks anymore. They might very well be the Las Vegas Mavericks. But that's another story for another day, because you can hear all the conspiracy theories going around. But, and it's kind of hard to want to pay a player that type of money. But if you look across the state line in Oklahoma, or the Oklahoma City Thunder about to get ready to do that. They're about to get ready to play SGA handsomely. And they're about to pay him so much that he fired his agent. So that way he can save himself on agent fees. So I don't know what Dallas was thinking at this point. It's kind of one of those situations where I wish you hadn't done that, but then again, I'm kind of glad you did. That I could see this team this year winning the championship. I could see it. I could see them winning a championship this year, especially once Luka works himself fully into the chemistry of this team, not to mention works his way into shape and off of that injury. I could see them winning the championship this year. And wouldn't it just be poetic justice? Wouldn't it just be poetic justice if they ended up facing the Cleveland Cavaliers
In the NBA
and
Finals.
winning in the finals? They are, because the thing is, people don't understand this. Bron's first championship in LA was against the Miami Heat. How poetic would it be, his second and probably last championship in LA be against the Cleveland Cavaliers and that onslaught of a good team that they have? Or even better, wouldn't it be even better if we could take the Leprechauns out just one more time? Wouldn't it be better if we just take the Leprechauns out just one more time and tie ourselves up for that 18th championship? Wouldn't it just be good to beat the mighty Boston Celtics one more time in the finals? I can see us winning a championship this year, man. The way this team, because this ain't even, we're only seeing a little snippet of it. We haven't even seen the fullness of it.
Right.
And did I mention LeBron is being mentioned once again in MVP conversations?
Yes.
If he wins an MVP this year, which I doubt that he will, I doubt it. But if he does and wins a championship, that's gonna turn the access on its heels. Because you thought you heard about GOAT conversations before. 5 championships, 5 rings on 3 different teams. Plus, he's already on pace to score 50,000 points. That's another record that's about to be broken. If that happens this year, which I'm hoping that it will, those GOAT talks are going to skyrocket. And if that happens, it's going to be hard not to say he is the GOAT. It's going to be very, very hard. Now, people are going to have their skepticism, but when you have darn near every record in the league. You have the championships, you have the MVPs, you have the finals MVPs, and you've done it on 3 different teams with a revolving door of players. That's something to be recognized. That is something to be recognized. And I think that if that happens this year, you're going to hear a whole nother conversation about to go. More than likely, if he wins his 5th championship and a 5th MVP, and that's a big if because I don't think he'll win the MVP. But if that happens, you're going to be talking about undisputed GOAT conversations at this point.
Oh, there's going to be constant conversations as between LeBron or Jordan, who's greater. You're going to hear it,
Yeah.
especially come off season. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's great, champ. I mean, for a Lakers fan, it's still mind-boggling to me with the Mavericks, though. They made that trade. No one was anticipating this. Normally, when you make a trade like that, it's usually the player asking or requesting a trade, not the team. And they just did it. And I'm reading some comments here from my guy Harrison. Hey boys, got my wisdom teeth out a couple of days ago, feeling better every day. Hope you feel better, Harrison. Our guy Brandon from the block, please go like and subscribe to his podcast. Harrison has Cooper Flag over LeBron James. And he also said, don't care, MJ still better. We all know he's just saying that because, again, we all know Harrison loves himself some Duke.
Yeah,
But
he's
I
a
think,
Duke fan.
Champ, this is really good for the Lakers. And again, with Luka, he's still not in shape, not in condition yet. And the thing is, imagine what he'll be when he's 100% in shape. He'll have an off season to make sure that he will be in the best condition. And with LeBron there, I believe they brought him there just for the future because of what they can build. And to have a guy like Luka and to play in a market like Los Angeles, it's only going to attract other players to come play. So I hope for the Lakers this works out well. And plus, we all know LeBron. He's going to try to do what he can to possibly recruit some players to come play there. You never know.
Yes.
So I think this is really great for the Los Angeles Lakers, man. Champ, let's continue with the NBA. Joel Embiid. Shams Charania just reported that he's done for the rest of the season. Do you think it's time for the Philadelphia 76ers once and for all to end the process with Embiid?
It's hard not to say no. It's hard not to say no. Right now, you are in a huge pickle. You have 2 players on this team that are on the sidelines more than they are on the court. And it seems like at the beginning with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, it was the process. And after the fact, it just seems like they've just been patchworking the crap out of it. They tried the process with James Harden. They tried the process now with another star player, that being Paul George. So they just been patchworking it ever since then. The true process was Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. After that, it was just a lot of patchwork. A lot of patchwork. I think it's time. I think that once Joel Embiid gets healthy, I think that, hey, maybe you contact the Sacramento Kings. See if you can get some bonus and a couple first round picks once Joel Embiid gets healthy. Maybe you do that and blow up the process. The process is kind of over at this point. And it was over before Joel Embiid even got hurt. He didn't want to play back-to-backs, anything of that nature. They did everything that they could. And guess what? They just have never been able to recapture that magic that they captured back in 2001 when Allen Iverson took them to the finals. As far as the championship, they haven't been able to recapture that magic they had back in '83 when Dr. J led them to a championship. It's hard to say that you're going to keep something together when it's not working. You see it's not working. And for me, if you really want to be honest with you, the beginning of the end of the process was when Kawhi hit that shot. That was the beginning of the end. Looking back on it, when Kawhi hit that big shot, that was the beginning of the end. Granted, it took a few more. Granted, that fight took a few more rounds in order to end, but guess what? It's ended. And you gotta wonder, man. It's like it's time to break that up. And I don't understand why you had Paul George on there when he could barely stay healthy in Los Angeles. Why would you do that? You bought James Harden to Philadelphia after the debacle that he had in Houston. Him wearing the little suit or whatever that was, and showing up to camp in the games extremely out of shape. You brought him there. The process is over. And for them to keep clinging so tightly to that, it's a shame. I understand that, like I said, I understand that you're trying to put butts in the seats. And the process puts butts in seats. I get it. But are you really, if you keep riding this train, eventually it's going to go off the tracks and it's going to hit somebody. Or even worse, it's going to destroy the whole village. So once Joel Embiid gets healthy, call up the Sacramento Kings, see if you can get Sabonis, maybe a couple first round picks, and ship him off somewhere, because this is not working. And you have building blocks on that team. You got Tyrese Maxey, you got the young rookie that just got hurt that was a shoe-in for the rookie of the year before he got hurt. I think it was Oubre.
I think so.
Yeah, Oubre. But I forget his name. I'm sorry to the audience if I pronounce his name incorrectly. But yeah, you already had great building blocks on this team. Blow up that process and start it over. You got a lot of young players on this team. You need to get rid of these contracts because it's not working. Jared McCain, my bad.
Jeremy Kane. Oh yeah, I forgot
Jared
about him.
McCain. Jared McCain. Thanks, Harrison. Thanks, Eric. But Jared McCain. But yeah, it's time to break that up, man. It's a done deal. You can't, just because you keep making a mistake, just because. Let me rephrase this. Philadelphia. This is from me to you, from down here in Georgia. I'm going to quote the late great Al Davis. It is not important to be consistent. It is not. It is important to be right in your consistency. Why be consistent to mediocrity just because you've been doing it for so long? It's not important to be consistent. It's important to be right. So be right in your assessment. Blow up this so-called process because it's been over for a long time now. And let's just get it over with. Don't make your fans suffer because you want to be stubborn. Don't copy the same formula that the Cleveland Browns have been doing with Deshaun Watson. Don't do that. You're making the fans suffer and you're making the product suffer. Don't do that just because you feel like clinging to something. That's not good.
All right. Before I give out my opinion, big ups to our special guest in the building, Brandon from the block. Please go check out his podcast, man, on YouTube. Brandon, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Good, man. Chilling. You know, it's really
Was
it.
that what's happening, man? What's your thoughts about Embiid, Joel Embiid? He's out, ruled out for the remainder of the season. Do you think it's time for Philadelphia to blow the process?
Not only blow up the process, I ain't gonna lie. We might have to have some talks about this man. Joel Embiid might need to retire, bro. I'm not gonna lie, cause these injuries are just that it's just crazy with dude. It's just crazy. Like this, like third consecutive time he's been hurt. Like
I think it's the
for a season.
meniscus. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, don't get me wrong, Embiid is great. When healthy, he's a top 10 player. But like, dude, like these injuries is just piling up and piling up and piling up. You don't want to end up like Kawhi. Like how Kawhi Leonard is like not go like he's playing too, but like he ain't playing like the Kawhi Leonard that we all know. So yeah, man, we might have to have some talks about Joel Embiid um for get might be to retire and just like we did with Kawhi, cause Kawhi's been having some talks too. So
Here's my thing regarding is about the whole Joel Embiid situation. The 76ers knew exactly what they were getting themselves into when they drafted him with the third overall pick. Had not been for injuries, he would have been the number one overall pick back in that 2014 NBA draft. And with Joel Embiid, Champ, to your point, you brought up the beginning of the end for the Philadelphia 76ers was the Kawhi Leonard Game 7 shot in the conference semifinals. Because after that game, Joel Embiid, man, he was walking into the locker room crying. I mean, what was worse, in my opinion, Champ, Atlanta, Game 7, the Ben Simmons game. So, I mean, no one will ever forget that. And shout out to BRF Sports because we all know he's a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan. He said it right here. They said Atlanta has the second best chances of getting him in the trade, just like bringing in someone who might be past his best days. I'll be back next week. But speaking of Atlanta, that series, when Ben Simmons passed up the shot in which Trae Young was in his way. For those who may not know, Ben Simmons is a legit 6'10", 240. Trae Young is about 6'1", 160. When that's really a stretch. He's really more like 5'11", a buck 50-ish like myself. Smaller but skinny dude. When Ben Simmons passed up that shot, it was about it. And Joel Embiid, he's had multiple times of getting to at least to one conference finals or more. And unfortunately, he hasn't. Injuries have played a role in Joel Embiid's career. Interesting thing that Brandon brought up: should should Joel Embiid consider retiring? Because you've been in the NBA for 11 years, but the 76ers, they paid him a ton of money, and it hasn't been a great season for Embiid because remember, there were reports of him getting into it with the reporter. Not to mention the report from Sham Charania in which Tyrese Maxey did call out Joel Embiid for his lack of professionalism, Champ. Remember when we talked about that? Being always late for everything. So that is on Joel Embiid as far as his lack of professionalism. And look, Shannon Sharp has often called out Joel Embiid for being a professional athlete. You have to be in shape and in condition. And look, we've constantly criticized a lot of athletes. We criticize Luka, we criticize Zion with his weight and conditioning. Joel Embiid, man, I don't want him to retire, but I do think it's time for a change. He needs to go somewhere. But the question is, who's willing to take a risk on a guy who can give you great production, who, when healthy, can give you 30 and 10, but at the same time, with those risks with those knees and feet? So that's the major concern that you're going to have with Joel Embiid. So I hope somebody, you mentioned the Sacramento Kings, Champ. If I'm the 76ers, I try to trade him to the Western Conference, somewhere in the Western Conference, because I don't want to have to deal with him in the East. But the question is, where in the West do I put him? You mentioned Sacramento. Who else? Which team out there in the West is willing to take a shot at a Joel Embiid?
I think Sacramento is probably the only one that I could really, really think of at this moment. I mean, and they got something that you can give them, a big for a big. Granted, Sabonis plays power forward, but he's a double machine.
And
And I
plus, he
think,
helps out the passing and the playmaking for
yes,
Philly.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And I think with these young players, these young shooters that they have with Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, a lot of these other guys, I think that will basically help. That will help the team.
Especially for
Well,
Nick Nurse.
yes.
But also,
And
too, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, champ.
oh, it's okay. Yeah, that's probably the only team I can think of right now. When you really think about the rest, everybody's pretty much set. When you think about Oklahoma City, they're set.
Yeah.
They're set. They don't need another superstar. When you think about the Denver Nuggets, they're set. When you even think about the Los Angeles Lakers, they set. I mean, when you think about a lot of these Western Conference teams, they're pretty much they got it mapped tight. So the only team that I can really think of that they can ship him off to, get some decent value for him, is Sacramento. Like I said, get some bonus, team him up, because he doesn't have, from what I've seen, a lot of durability issues. He doesn't have a lot of durability issues. I mean, like I said, he set the record for double doubles. He's able to provide you rim protection and things like that, defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds, everything of that nature. So, hey, blow up the process. I mean, the process is over. The two biggest components of the process, one had Nick Anderson syndrome, that being Ben Simmons, because I don't think it was so much as the injury that hurt him. It was the
Mental.
it was the mental. He didn't, and I hate using this phrase. Lord knows I do. He didn't have that dog in him anymore. It's just like he was just passive to a fault because he didn't want to go to the free throw line. And like I said, he turned into how Nick Anderson did after the '95 finals. It's just he did not want to go to the free throw line. Now you have Joel Embiid. The injuries have caught up with him. This is basically the Orlando Magic Part 2. The only difference is both of their best players get hurt. They had all the potential in the world to be like Shaq and Penny, but the process repeated itself with Ben Simmons as far as the injuries goes, as far as the mental capacity to play the game goes, and their Shaquille O'Neal, that being Joel Embiid. I mean, he's nowhere near what Shaq is. So it's kind of like Orlando Part 2, but a lot more disastrous than Orlando was back when they had Shaq and Penny when that process finally ended.
Yeah. Brandon, before we move on to the NFL and stuff, your Lakers, Luka Doncic's game against the Dallas Mavericks, 19, 15, and 12. The floor is yours.
Listen, man, for all the people that been saying, "Oh, we don't got a future," well, we got one in Luka Doncic, man. Man, when I tell you something, bro, when that trade deadline, I ain't gonna lie. When I heard, I think it was like 11 o'clock that night that we had Luka, I was
Yeah.
freaking like shocked. So like, I was, I was going crazy. But like Luka and Luka, man, I ain't gonna lie, it made us better for a sense because we're actually faster. Like we playing faster now. Yeah, we do need a big man. We do. But it's like it's weird because like we're actually playing defense better without a big man, which is kind of weird. So, but yeah, man, like Luca, he just gotta get comfortable. And when he gets comfortable, listen, man, I'm loving that the playmaking with Luca and LeBron together. I like how they contributing to one another. It's looking good there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
This is, I mentioned before, this is the photo right here. That's always going to be
yep,
Nico Harrison. What were you thinking, man? What were you
yep,
thinking trading away Luka Doncic like that? Nobody was anticipating that, but hey, for the Lakers, it looks like it could be all year. But again, still a little too early. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if I see Champ at LA come June or July. That's all I'm gonna say. I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised.
Hey, instead of Magic City, we're going to the Roxbury.
yeah.
Oh, you don't want to go
Now,
to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles?
Yeah, we can go there too. We can go there too. And then after that, we go to the Fat Burger as well, man.
I
now the finals. Going to the final, I don't know yet. I'm not gonna go that far, but I will say Western Conference. We'll be there.
Okay. I mean, after all, I mean, Luka has had experience going up against the Thunder. He did beat them last year. And not only that, with Luka, it takes so much of an offensive load off of LeBron. LeBron can get some rest. Luka, LeBron can sit on the bench. Luka can run the offense, and vice versa. And I just think, man, with this trade, it's going to give Luka more motivation and fuel. And then plus the beauty of it come off season. The Lakers now, they're going to do what they can to attract players to come play for La La Land. And this is a beautiful feeling. So if you're the Lakers, man, your future looks very bright. And Luka is still 26 years old. He just turned 26 years old. So the future is bright for the Lakers. But fellas, let's talk about the NFL, man. The Green Bay Packers, they are the team that doesn't want the tush push play anymore. However, the NFL executive Troy Vincent said that there's NFL data to show that there's no injury of the tush push. Brandon, I'm gonna let you go first. Do you think that the tush push should be banned?
No, they just punks. They scared. Oh, Packers just they aren't they the only team complaining?
No.
I know the Packers. Wait a minute, Chip. Raheem Morris of the Falcons.
Yes, I was getting to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But the
my
thing
Atlanta
is,
Falcons are complaining.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. I
the
thought y'all
thing
better
is,
than that.
Sean
the thing,
McDermott too is also
yeah,
complaining.
yeah. The thing is it has been stopped before. You can stop it. I mean, if you can't stop it, you just can't stop it. You do something about it. That's all I gotta say.
Champ.
You know what the tush push reminds me of, but not as sophisticated, right? I never forget back in, let's say, 1988. Boom, here comes Boomer Esiason and the Cincinnati Bengals with the no huddle K gun offense. Here comes them with the K gun offense. Well, they was using the West Coast offense, excuse me. They using no huddle offense the whole game. And they out there just burning guys up with them. You know what I'm saying? They kept the Oakland Raiders on the team on the field the whole game almost. Do y'all know which team complained about that? About that offense?
Who, champ?
The Buffalo Bills. Marv Levy told them personally that he will make a mockery out of the game. That should be illegal. I'm gonna go to the commissioner's office and campaign to get that banned. And ironically, less than 1 year later, less than 2 years later, he used that same offense, the no huddle offense, turned it into the K gun offense, and went to 4 straight Super Bowls. People only complain about it when they cannot use it to their benefit. I will say this again, and this goes for everything in life. People only complain about stuff when they cannot use it to their benefit. If you don't want, look, the tush push can only be used for like 1 to 2 yards, 3 at max. So how about your defense force them to 3rd and 4 and 4th and 4 rather than them getting 4th and 1? How about you force them into that situation? And how about you get some big guys up front, like a Vince Wilfork, like an Aaron Donald, and guys like that, and even Teddy Washington, who used to play for the Chicago Bears, or even the late great Tony Siragusa, run stoppers who can stop those type of things. Things can be stopped. The no huddle offense was stopped. We saw Dallas do it in the Super Bowl. We saw Washington, your Commanders, do it in the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. All of these new formations, they can be stopped. We saw when the Wildcat came alive for about a year. Very next year, it was stopped. So everything can be stopped. The only thing you have to do is put your personnel in the position in order to get it done. Because if you have your big guys up front, your run stuffers the way you do, you can stop the tush push. And the thing is, look, there's a way to render anything useless. When you have 4th and 4, they can't use the tush push. You got to kick it off. When you have 3rd and 4, they can't use the tush push. They got to want a sweep or a pass and play. When you get 3 and outs, when you go 3 and out and don't even give them a chance, that's how you stop the tush push. Field position. NFL. Stop trying to ban something just because everybody can't benefit from it. Nowadays, everybody's using the no huddle offense. Everybody's using it. They might be only using it the last 2 minutes. They may not be using it as much as the Buffalo Bills and the Boomer Esiasons did, but they're using it to this day. To this day, we see versions of the Wildcat. To this day, we see versions of the shotgun offense that was invented by the late, great Tom Landry. You're going to see something new every blue moon in the NFL, and eventually every team is going to start using it. But the first to do something is never embraced for it. Like I said, the no-huddle offense, when Boomer Esiason and Sam Weiss first did it, it wasn't liked by the league. It wasn't liked. Guys was literally on the field every 3rd down faking injuries. Go back and look at the 1988 AFC Championship. You will see a prime example of it. You'll see a prime example of it. The guy went down who was a run stuffer. He went down on every 3rd down because he knew he didn't have to play. He knew he didn't have to play. He went down after 2nd down, because he knew he didn't play on 3rd down. And the ref had to call the timeout in order to get him off the field. So everybody hates something when it's first introduced because they don't know how to do it yet. The tush push, I'm going to just be real. It doesn't cause injuries. It doesn't do any of that.
Which NFL has confirmed.
Yes. You're ticked off because you can't stop it. You're ticked off. And that goes for you too, Atlanta. I'm talking to you too. You're mad because you can't stop it. Trust me, when you learn how to stop something, your complaints are a hell of a lot. Your complaints are a hell of a lot less. When you hungry and you go get some food, you complain a lot less. When you spend your time walking and you finally get a car, your complaints are a lot less. When you're thirsty and you finally drink some water, your complaints are a lot less. When you want something sweet and you go get a donuts, your complaints are a lot less. So trust me, when something is at your fingertips and useful to you, guess what? Your complaints are a lot less. Like I just said, and this goes for society as well. People only hate something when they can't benefit from it. And right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, as unstoppable as they are the only team that's benefiting primarily from it, and it pisses off the entire league. And isn't this the same league? Isn't this the same league that wanted they tried to outlaw the K-gun offense? They didn't like the shotgun offense when Tom Landry first invented it. They didn't like the Wildcat. And then on top of that, I remember hearing Mel Kiper last year, he wanted to ban the too high safety. He wanted to ban the too high safety.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because it was basically a deeper version of the cover two. Because
which I thought it was ridiculous.
Passing yards was in there. It's always something that they want to ban when it's original. When you learn how to stop it, it bothers you a lot less. You ever heard anybody complain about the run and shoot offense? No, because people learn how to stop it. People learn how to stop the run and shoot offense. That's how come people don't complain about it anymore. When the West Coast offense was first invented, people called it finesse. That's just a finesse offense. That's a finesse offense. Yeah, because it's beating everybody. You hear anybody complain about the West Coast offense anymore? Nope, because guess what? A lot of teams are using modified versions of the West Coast offense. And guess what? Push comes to shove, you can stop it. So, NFL, teams complaining about the tush push is kind of like in MLB when they were trying to intentionally walk Barry Bonds. That's what that's equivalent to. That is not competitive. Stop it. Stop the tush push. That should be your game plan. this entire offseason. Draft some guys, some big guys up front to stop the tush push. Put somebody in there to stop it. Do you know how teams didn't like the 4-6 offense? Excuse me, the 4-6 defense. Do you know when they stopped hating it? When Dan Marino showed them how to beat them with the quick passes. And from there, Joe Gibbs copied suit and was able to get those passes out a lot quicker. Yeah, teams only hate it when it's not beneficial to them. It causes injury. It doesn't. It's been proven by the league. It doesn't. Stop being haters because you can't stop it. There's been plenty of offenses that have been revolutionary. But instead of complaining about it, you got to come up with a way to stop it. Like I said, you complaining about the tush push, lobbying for it to be banned and things of that nature. It's kind of like the pitchers when they intentionally walk bare bonds. That's not competition. Come up with a way to stop it, scheme it, and render it useless by taking them out of the position where they're able to use it.
I agree, champ. And look, to Brandon's point, if you have a problem with it, do something about it. And when I look at it, I'm reading a stat right here from ESPN. Since 2022, the Eagles' conversion rate on 3rd and 1 using the tush push, 88%. 88%. So can the tush push be stopped? Yes. You're going to have to get some defensive linemen, champ. You're going to have to get some defensive linemen, and you're going to have to draw up a scheme. Plus, you're also going to have to figure out a way to contain a quarterback because, again, we keep talking about the Eagles' O-line, and they were like the tallest and heaviest offensive line heading into the Super Bowl, champ, 6'6", over 330 pounds. Let's not forget Jalen Hurts, who could bench press and squat about 600-700 pounds, champ. People have forgotten how tough and physical Jalen Hurts is. So can it be stopped? Only time will tell. When it becomes stopped, hopefully the NFL, they'll figure out, oh, this is the blueprint that we got to do. And look, champ, we talked about this last year about possibly the NFL removing the tush push. I don't have a problem with the tush push. And shout out to our guy Broad. He's mentioned numerous times about Tom Brady with the quarterback sneak. He's mentioned that numerous times. They had a hard time stopping it. Why are you complaining about it? Oh, the injuries. Like I said, NFL executive Troy Vincent, he confirmed there's zero data, there's zero evidence to prove there's any injuries. Okay, so we throw that out of the equation. That's number one. I think the Packers and so many teams, they just want it eradicated because, to your point, Chip, they can't do anything about it. They just can't do anything about it. If you want to put the Eagles in a position to not use the tush push, putting them on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, something like that, putting more blitzes or whatever the case may be. Figure out something. Okay, because anytime if it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and inches, 4th and 1, 4th and inches, it's a guarantee they're going to go for it. So don't be surprised. So I don't have a problem with the tush push staying. If that's what you want to do in order for you to win, that's fine with me. I'm not going to throw shade or anything about it. So that's all I got to say regarding the tush push. Let's talk about the NFL draft. The potential number 1 overall pick, Abdul Carter. I'm reading an article from ESPN's Adam Schefter. It says here, potential number 1 draft pick Abdul Carter has a stress reaction in his right foot. Test revealed Wednesday, and the Penn State standout will need to decide soon whether to have surgery. This is what his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, told ESPN. Quote, there are mixed opinions on whether if he needs surgery, and we will figure that out in the near future. This is what Rosenhaus said on Wednesday night in Indianapolis, side of this week's NFL Scouting Combine. According to Rosenhaus, Carter has 2 options. 1, he could have preemptive surgery, have a screw inserted in his right foot, and return to working out and running in about 8 weeks. Or 2, he could bypass the surgery, conduct his pro day at Penn State on March 28th, and prove to NFL teams that he doesn't need a procedure. According to Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest big board, he has Abdul Carter as the number 2 rated prospect. And you look at Abdul Carter from Penn State, really talented, productive guy, 12 sacks, helped Penn State get into the college football playoffs this season. Tennessee Titans, they have the number 1 overall pick. They're going to have to make a serious decision because Abdul Carter or Cam Ward. It seems like Cam Ward is QB1. It seems like Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 quarterback. Champ, to me, if it's that close, and I know I sound redundant, they're probably going to lean towards a quarterback because no matter how good Abdul Carter is, just watching him, he can get after the quarterback. He's talented. He's physical. But at the same time, champ, do you want to roll the dice on the mayonnaise man, Will Levis, again? You want to deal with Will Levis? Or if you're Tennessee, do you want to deal with getting a free agent quarterback? Or if you're Tennessee, hey, there are going to be some teams out there that could use a quarterback or could move up in the draft. Heck, you got to explore your options. So what do you think the Tennessee Titans should do with the number 1 overall pick? Because either draft a quarterback, draft Abdul Carter, which that wouldn't be bad of a decision, or here's some other teams in the NFL that's willing to give you a couple of first rounds, a third or a fourth or whatever.
Trade the pick. Trade it. You need a hell of a lot more than just one player. And you're about to lose your star linebacker because you just gave him a clearance to go get a trade.
Yes, you did.
So you need a hell of a lot more than just 1 or 2 players. You need a plethora of players. And I'm sorry, you're not going to catch up anytime soon. The Houston Texans are light years ahead of you on offense and defense. You're just lucky that they were just hurt. A lot of their players were hurt this year. You just got lucky because it could have been a lot worse. So trade the pick. I think this is a good draft class. This is not the greatest one I've ever seen. There's no real undisputed number 1 consensus overall pick, in my opinion. I think Abdul Carter is great. What I wanted to see happen was him get drafted at number 2. And they pair him with Myles Garrett up in Cleveland. But it looks like that's not going to happen because they said, because Myles Garrett clearly said, you can give me enough money to air condition hell, and I'm not finna stay in Cleveland. So that's just how it goes there. So Cleveland also has a huge dilemma on what they have to do. But as far as Tennessee, you might want to trade that pick, see what else you can get in the draft throughout the draft, and see if you can sucker a team into give you one. Look, let's just be clear. Everybody is desperate with a capital D to get that next quarterback. They're desperate. So what better way for you to get something done and to sucker somebody into doing it? Oakland Raiders, they out to try to get Shadür Sanders.
Las
They
Vegas.
want to get Shadür Sanders, yeah. You got a lot of other teams that want to get quarterbacks. So go ahead and see what you can get. Put out there you want to trade for the number 1 pick.
Matter of fact, champ, you're the one who's been telling Jackson Dart from Ole Miss his QB draft buzz is stocking. Is elevating.
Yeah, and I've been saying that for the longest time. People did not believe me. And shout out to Jackson Dart. He is an SEC guy, all SEC for 2024, by the way. But yeah, there is a team out there that is thirsty for a quarterback, and they gotta be willing to get you the form. But the key is not getting the picks. The key is getting the right players with the picks. And I understand, Tennessee, you have a lot of money in free agency. Use it wisely. Go out there spending all your money right about now. It's best to sit on your money sometimes than spend it.
Not to mention, you are a state with no income taxes.
Yeah, Tennessee has no income tax.
I think so. Yeah, in the South.
Damn, I'm 3 hours away from Tennessee. It might be time to move, but might be time to move. But I digress.
They got some
I
good
have,
food, and they got some good food in Music City, champ. Just if you're wondering.
yeah, they do. They do. I've heard about
Mhm.
that. Man, plus they got the strip and everything. But yeah, I think that plus you got to think in the long term, Tennessee, because you're about to build a new stadium. Nissan Stadium is about to get rebuilt. You're about to have a dome stadium in the middle of downtown, $4 billion stadium. So you got to think long term rather than just short term. Trade the pick, get you a bunch of players. See if you can build this roster. See if you can build it. And if you have to suffer another year with Will Levis, that's better than taking the wrong player at this point and suffer for many more years. Because we've seen defensive ends. We saw a defensive end from Penn State go number 1 almost ago to the day. And his name was Courtney Brown. And he just couldn't stay on the field. We've seen a lot of great offense. Seen a lot of great defensive line get drafted number 1 overall. We saw Bruce Smith. We saw Mario Williams. Jadeveon Clowney, he was serviceable. Big Daddy Wilkinson, he didn't do too much in Cincinnati, but later on down the line, he became an all-pro. So we've seen a lot of great defensive linemen be great. But the thing is, for Tennessee, you need a bunch of players. You don't just need one player. And guess what? The Raiders, a lot of these teams will end up bidding for a quarterback. Go ahead and see what you can get for them. And the asking price, a first, second, and a third. Simple as that. You ain't got to get greedy with it. First, second, and a third, just to bring up your draft capital. Because guess what? This is a good draft, but there's going to be a lot of hidden gems in this draft when you really, really go back and look back on it. The first round is going to be good. First, second round going to be good. But after that, you're going to hear a lot of like hidden gems. It's going to be a lot. This is going to be a hidden gem draft, in my opinion. This is a good draft, but when you go down the list, it's just like normally you would have an undisputed top 5. This time you don't. And the draft class outside of Shadür and Cam Moore, kind of weak. Because Quentin Ewers, although Jackson Dart played in the SEC, I still have questions about. So this is not the deepest class that I've ever seen before in my life. A very good class, but not the deepest. So you need to trade that pick and see what you can do. This draft is very, very similar to the 1988 draft.
Okay.
Very similar.
Brandon from the block. What do you think about Abdul Carter? What do you think the Titans should do with the number 1 pick?
Okay, my fault. For
That's all
me,
good.
I'm not gonna lie, I go defense. I go dual Carter. I'm not gonna lie. They could trade up though. I just feel bad for the Titans though because they in the past they gave up AJ Brown and they gave up Derrick Henry and to get really nothing for real for return. Like it's like I forgot who they got, but
For the AJ Brown
but
trade?
it have a big for the AJ Brown trade and Derrick Henry. Well, no, Derrick Henry was a free agent. My fault.
Yeah,
But yeah, they haven't really done nothing for real with them gone. You know, I thought they were gonna have at least to get a package or get like a future for him, but like for AJ Brown, but like just ain't been cutting it for real. But yeah, if I'm the Titans, I'll go defense. But no.
I know that the Titans got the 18th overall pick and the 101 pick. So they were able to get 2 draft picks And then Philly was able to pay AJ Brown 4-year, $100 million. But Tennessee, champ, to me, I would trade it because to your point about the draft, it's not a bad draft, but it's not a standout draft. There are other things that Tennessee needs to address. And just to confirm, champ, yes, Tennessee is a no state income tax. So you might as well want to live in Nashville or Memphis.
Mm,
It's just
mm.
you. Hey, you would know. Talk to Maria. Shout out to our girl Maria knows best. She lives in Memphis. We all know Maria. But yeah, Tennessee, I think they should definitely pull some trades, man. And it's unfortunate because again, they had AJ Brown, they had Derrick Henry. Years ago, they were competing for an AFC championship game. And then a couple years after that, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round, man. So I think with the Tennessee Titans, to your point, champ, how much money they have in cap space at this
That's
point?
what I was looking up right now. Now they do have 1, 2, 3. They do have at least almost. They have a first and a second round. They have 2 picks in the 4th, 2 picks in the 5th, the 6th and the 7th. So they got some draft capital already.
Mm-hmm.
They have some draft capital. I think they need a couple other picks right about now, but I digress. But when I look up the cap space for the Titans, which I'm looking up as we speak,
Says here that Tennessee has $61 million in cap space for 2025, according to Over the Cap.
yes. And that's before the cap went up.
Yeah.
Because, that's before the cap went up. So they might very well have 70 million. So don't spend all that money in one place. You try to do that with Calvin Ridley. You try to do it with a lot of other guys. Don't spend that money yet. Wait. Trade that pick. Get you some more draft capital and see how well that you can draft. Don't be around here doing too much at this point. I understand that everybody's trying to get the team right, but you have to draft right. And in the NFL, if you don't get that draft right, you're going to be suffering many years. And right now,
don't risk it.
Don't risk it. Don't risk it all.
Well, you being smart. I mean, hell, champ, they may ask you to be for an NFL GM. I mean, instead of doing what you're doing, they need to call you for an NFL spot.
Oh, man, I welcome the challenge, man. I love to be a scout, man, or on-field reporter, something like that, man. Graduation is in another month, so NFL, y'all want to reach out to somebody in order to, do some things on that field, be a scout. I'd love to, try my luck at it.
Absolutely. Brendan, I'm gonna let you go first. Shadür Sanders from Colorado. He's gotten some criticism because he decided not to throw and work out at the NFL scouting combine. Look, before I let Brendan go, my take is this. This is not the first nor the last time we've seen top quarterback prospects skip the combine. We saw Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray. We saw Trevor Lawrence. We saw it last year. We saw it with Caleb Williams. We saw it with Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I think the reason why people just don't like Shadür Sanders, particularly the media and the public, obviously he is the son of Deion Sanders. And I don't understand what is it you don't like about Shadür Sanders. I mean, just watching the tape, kid has swag, he has style. Not to mention, Chad, he's doing this behind a bad old line, and you are an advocate for offensive linemen. You always say quarterback can't throw behind his back, and he was still able to produce. Now you're hearing about Jackson Dart being number 2 over Shadür Sanders, even though I get that Jackson Dart plays obviously in a much tougher conference, the SEC. But I think it has more to do with Prime, his personality, the bling bling and stuff like that. I also think him and Cam Ward, they're arguing. But my thing is, it's really not that big of a deal. I just think people are making it more than what it is. I really think that whoever drafts Shadür Sanders, Giants, they have to draft a quarterback. Now, wait a minute, Giants. I'm sorry. I know it's the last day of Black History Month, but when's the last time they've had history with black QBs? Ironically, the Dallas Cowboys, they have more of a history with black quarterbacks, but that's a story for
Kind
another
of
day.
crazy.
It is
I mean,
crazy
did
when
he
you look
lie?
at it.
Did he lie?
I didn't lie.
Yeah,
He didn't lie. He ain't lying.
But it is what it is, man. But I think for Shadür Sanders, it's not about when you go, where you go. I think if there's some team out there that can draft him in a situation, very good situation, I believe he'll be just fine. The Eagles, they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round, and that was because of primarily Carson Wentz's injuries. But they know Jalen Hurts is made of the right stuff, the right intangibles. And ultimately, Jalen Hurts proved to doubters and everyone wrong, and that he won a Super Bowl. So I think with Shadür Sanders, I think some team has to take a chance on him. I would not be surprised if the Raiders took a chance on him because they missed out on the opportunity with Matthew Stafford. He restructured his deal. He's going to still stay for Los Angeles. I think it's good for Los Angeles, though, especially for Sean McVay, even though I would like to see Sean McVay go in a different direction now with a young quarterback. But hey, Matthew Stafford, last year, he was able to get you to the divisional round and you were that close to beating the Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams were the only team in the NFC and the AFC that gave the Eagles the most trouble come playoffs. You look at the Packers, nah. My Commanders, nah. Definitely not the Chiefs. The Rams actually gave them the most trouble. Not to mention Stafford is not great in snow or inclement weather. So back to Shadür Sanders. If Tom Brady decides to take a chance with him, hey, why not? After all, you've had experience working and training with Shadür Sanders, and he has connections with Prime. Now, I do think Shadür Sanders will do fine in the NFL. I just don't think people like him because of his personality, the swag. Like I said before, Deion Sanders. But when I look at his film, okay, if you want to say Cam Ward is better, I got no problem with it because you think he has a bigger arm. But Shadür Sanders ain't that bad. I actually wouldn't mind taking him. What's your thoughts, Brandon? What do you think about Shadür Sanders deciding not to throw at the combine? And if you're a team out there, would you take a chance on him?
um, Shador. I think, I think, you talking about Shador Sanders, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Shador Sanders. He nice. They shouldn't worry about him. You know, with the, with the, training camp. I mean, like you said, like Burrow didn't do it, Kyler didn't do it. They all turned out great in the NFL. Um, if it's fine with them, Shador will be all right. Shador's a top quarterback prospect. I don't think nobody should worry about him or anything like that. They just hate him.
and at the end of the day, champ, as you've often mentioned, it comes down to coaching. So I don't think it's necessarily when you go, it's where you go, the organization, how you build around him. You have to establish a culture. And then once you do that, and once you also build a foundation, that's going to lead to success. I think if there's a team out there that feels like they're a quarterback away, draft Shadür Sanders. And the thing
Right.
is, you don't have to start him right away. There's nothing wrong with him sitting and learning. Just because he sits and learn, that doesn't mean he's awful or he's going to be a bust. Perhaps his time isn't ready yet. And Chad, we've talked about this with Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, a lot of them they did struggle. And look, you mentioned with Anthony Richardson about all the hype, all the attention he got, but at the same time, I felt like the one thing that hurt against Anthony Richardson is that he didn't sit and learn as much. Had he done that, I think he would have been more advanced in the NFL as a quarterback. And you saw Champ last year when he was struggling. You saw Joe Flacco take over for the team.
Mhm.
And Anthony Richardson was able to come back. You saw that with Bryce Young last year. Bryce Young, early in the season, he didn't play particularly well. Andy Dalton came in. And then Bryce Young, later down the stretch, if you look at some of those games, champ, including one game Your last one against your Atlanta Falcons,
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young lit the Falcons up like a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, to me, if you draft Shadür Sanders, it's not about when, it's where you draft him. Does this team have enough of a culture? Is there good enough coaching? Is there good enough players around him? And can he learn and grow and evolve? That's what I think. But I think there's too much criticism because, again, it is easy because, of course, you are the son of primetime Deion Sanders, who is not a media darling. Go ahead, champ.
Don't you think it's quite ironic when people's fathers get involved that they're often criticized?
Well,
We
look at
had a
LeVar Ball
conversation.
for an example.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. We just had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about LeVar Ball getting involved. Remember, they were criticizing Cam Newton daddy when he was talking in the draft, when they had that little documentary. So I think it's quite ironic when certain demographics of fathers start getting involved that they're often criticized and they're not media darlings. But however, I digress. This is a hot take from me. This is my hot take. I'm glad Jackson Dart is being boosted ahead of Shadür. Why? I want him to drop in the draft. And I want him to go to a team that has some talent so we can really see what he can do. I want him to go to a talented team. I would love to see him go to the Jets. I would love to see him even drop even further and go to Pittsburgh. Just because you drop in the draft, that doesn't mean you're not talented. Look what happened with Deshaun Watson when he dropped in the draft after having darn near a Heisman season and winning a national championship, going to a national championship back-to-back years.
Look at Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. So I'm glad that he's being boosted. I'm glad that Jackson Dart, so Shadür could potentially drop in the draft and he can go to a team worth being on.
Whew. For Brandon's take, he better hope he drops to Seattle.
So yeah, I would love to see him in Seattle.
Oh.
I would love to see him. I would love to see Shadür. I would love to see Shadür drop in the draft. And like I said, pay attention to what I'm saying. I would love to see him drop in the draft. That way, he doesn't have to deal with mediocrity. He doesn't have to deal with lackluster coaching. He doesn't have to deal with lackluster talent. And he doesn't have to deal with lackluster ownership.
I said to BRF, I wouldn't mind him going to Seattle because, again, they still have Geno, and plus he could sit and learn from behind Geno.
Yeah. So I'm glad that Jackson Dart and they're boosting him up. And as the combine comes along, you will see guys get boosted up as well. But I'm hoping Shadür drops in the draft so he doesn't have to deal with mediocrity in the front office.
Not to mention having that chip on your shoulder.
Yes, not to mention having that chip on your shoulder. And like I said, I'm hoping that he does. I'm glad that Jackson Dart is. Like I said,
yeah.
If
I want Dart, to be honest with
you. Shout out to BRF. He did say I put that out there months ago regarding Seattle. Want to make sure. And
yes,
also shout out to our guy, the Chosen League. Shout out to Chosen League.
The Chosen One.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm hoping that he drops. Send him to a team that has some talent on there already. Send him to a team that has coaching. Send him to a team that you know is going to develop the players right. I'd love to see Shadür drop to Pittsburgh. I'd love to see it. You got your future right there for the next 10 years. Only thing you got to do is serie up your offensive line. You already got George Pickens on one side. And look, you already have a receiver. And look, if you want to get better at the receiver position fast, call up the New York Jets. They'll be glad to give you Devontae Adams. I love to see these young men in position to succeed. I don't want to see them struggle and go through these growing pains. Like, you hate to see Bryce Young go through all of that. All of those growing pains, not having a line, barely scoring points. Yes, that's part of the process, but you hate to see that. And because, especially in these days of the social media age, you hate to see it because the label is going to get there. But the thing is, exactly, he did make all SEC, and he was the MVP of the bowl game they went to this year. But I would love to see Shadür Sanders drop in the draft, just so he can go to a non-dysfunctional organization, just so he won't have to worry about his father having to step in order to say, "Hell no, I'm not finna. My kid is not going there."
Yeah.
So I would love to see that happen. Him drop and say, "Hey, you go to, let's say, hell, you go to Pittsburgh." I would love to see him go to Pittsburgh. I would love to see you go to Pittsburgh. One of these
But
organizations.
can you imagine Shadür Sanders being drafted by the Rams?
Yeah, I love to see him go to the Rams. Get developed behind
Matthew Stafford, and
Matthew
then
Stafford
with Sean McVay.
with Sean
Still
McVay as your coach. Get developed. I would love to see Shadür drop in the draft simply
or hell,
because
Miami. They need a quarterback because again, I like Tua, and I'm not as hard on him compared to our guy Luis. Shout out to Luis, but Miami does need a quarterback.
yeah. But like I said, I love to see him drop in the draft just so he won't have to deal with dysfunctional organizations, dysfunctional ownership, and things of that nature. I think that he's like Trey saying in the comments. I think he's going to end up going to the Raiders or the Giants. But if he does it, and he drops, I think that will be the best thing that ever happened to Shadür.
I totally believe so. I just don't believe the
Anybody but the
Giants.
Giants. Anybody but the Giants. I don't want
I,
them no
I'm
quarterback to
not
be
gonna
in that
lie.
organization.
They have talent on that team. They
That's
have
true.
talent.
they
They
do,
have
champ.
talent.
No,
They
champ.
have
No,
Malik Neighbors.
Neighbor
They have
size.
no,
Brian Burns. They have Kavion Thibodeau,
Yeah,
Sexy Dexy. They got those guys on there.
but
It's
champ.
just a matter of getting these guys in position in order to win.
that's true.
You got to give them the right coaching.
But
I
champ, here's
mean,
the but champ. The problem, and I mentioned this early on. Black QBs in Giants history. The only one that's really started a black one, you got to go back to what Geno back in 2017 when they benched Eli.
I'll say this. I'm gonna say this. Shadür was right on the money when he said, "I don't think they didn't think Shadür Sanders could play in major college football when he came from an HBCU."
Mm-hmm.
They said, "You can't do what you did down there in Jackson State. That's HBCU. This is major college ball up here." Look what he did. He damn near became a Heisman candidate. That's what he did. So he didn't lie when he said that, you know, I can do and I can rebuild teams. He didn't lie. So the thing is, uh, let's just go ahead and just say it. Do you want to win or do you want to worry about the demographic of your quarterback? I will say this again. Do you want to win or do you want to worry about the demographic of your quarterback? Because the thing is, you got about one more time to not draft the right quarterback, and you're going to be in perpetuity for a lot of years. You're going to be in that for a lot of years. So, hey, New York, you need to get yourself together. Because guess what? Hey, you got talent on this team. And if you don't want to draft Shadür, you would rather draft Jackson Dart, I'm not mad at it. But do you want to win?
That's
Do
the
you want
thing.
to win? Hey.
All right, champ. Let's continue on with the combine. Has there been any? I know you haven't. You told me before the show you haven't watched it as much, but I did see, and I haven't watched it as much either. But I have seen one that stood out to me. That defensive end from Texas A&M, who had that vertical, and who had that 40 as well. I think his name is Stewart. He good.
Yeah, he
And then
good.
I looked at the Tennessee player, and then I looked at from the DP position, Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky had the fastest 40, ran a 4.28. We got to see more with the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. But has there been any workout from the combine that has stood out to you?
Honestly, this
James
is
Pierce. Thank you, BRF. James Pierce.
James Pierce from Tennessee.
Yes.
I think he's good. A lot of these guys are boosted up their draft stock. And look, Atlanta, we need a pass rusher. All right. We need a pass rusher. I gave you a
Remember
pass.
last year? Remember
I
last
give,
year?
I give you a pass last year because you was right. We needed a quarterback because I did not think that Kirk Cousins was gonna what did they say in Super Mario Brothers, the first movie that came out? I did not think that he was gonna de-evolve that fast. He de-evolved quick. It got bad quick, yo. But yeah, you need a pass rush, and I think that either Stewart or Pierce. Stewart and Pierce, they really impressed me. But like I said, I gotta look and see. I gotta look at the tape. The combine is always good, but the tape is always better. The combine is good, but the tape is always better. So I need to go back and watch some tape on these guys and see what they're doing. I know that Stewart and Pierce were very, very good. They was in the SEC, but I got to go back and watch some tape because guess what? There's been a lot of evidence of guys who had great workouts that didn't do anything. Look at Vernon Golston from the New York Jets, D. Milner, guys
John
who
Ross.
had great. Yes, John Ross. They had great workouts, didn't do anything for the NFL.
Oh, about to send the link to BRF right now.
Yeah, hey, coming in hot. Let's do it. But you like the combine, but I want to see that tape. I want to see that tape. I got to go back and rewatch the tape on some guys. But I think Pierce and those guys are doing great, man. And I can't wait to see more, man. I can't wait to see more. I'm really gonna, yes, Mike Mamua, but he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. He literally trained himself for the combine so that he could pass all the combine tests. And he didn't do squat in Philadelphia. So you gotta be careful about going by them combine workouts. Because just because you know how to work out, that don't mean everybody in the NFL know how to work out. And there's been some guys who have performed badly at the combine that went on to be Hall of Famers. Terrell Davis ran a 4.75 in the 40 at the combine. Let me say that again. Terrell Davis ran a 4.75 in the combine. And guess what? He went on to have a Hall of Fame career. What's going on, man?
What's happening,
What
BRF?
going on? None of my partners. How y'all doing today? As you can tell, I'm not in the best shape, but I've been watching the combine, so I'm excited. The scouting combine is like one of my favorite parts of the entire NFL offseason. I told myself, you know what, I want to watch it this year because my damn Falcons need to draft a pass rusher. So I'm really keen. I'm really keen on the defensive lineman and the defensive lineman and the linebackers. Like James Pierce impressed the heck out of me yesterday. Dude coming into the combine 6'5", 245, running a 4.47 40-yard dash. That's impressive. And we know he can rush the passer because his stats went down. But I've looked at some of his film, even though his stats went down from the year before. He was doing a lot more as far as setting the edge, doing a lot more as far as like understanding his keys and all that other stuff. I think he played better DN this year as opposed to last year, even though he was rushing the passer like crazy. He played a more complete defensive end this year than last year, which is why he's one of my options. Another one of my options is Jihad Campbell. I was iffy on him at first. The 11, the linebacker from Alabama. I was a little iffy on him at first. But when I saw him at that combine yesterday, boy, 4.5, 4.52 40-yard dash. And not just that, they showed some clips after the combine, after they had stopped recording. He was doing pass rush drills. As a guy who's not a normal pass rusher, he looked good. So just looking at that extra bit of film alone and seeing that he's willing to put his hand down and rush the passer, if I'm the Falcons, I consider him too. And Shadür Stewart,
From Texas
A&M,
A&M.
he was good as well. He was good as well. Who else jumped off the page? Who else jumped off for me? Landon Jackson, Alabama. Watch that name. Watch him. 6'6", 275.
The Arkansas
40.6
edge
inch.
pass rusher.
Yeah, 40.6 inch vert. 40.6 inch vert at 6'6", 275. Because he was the one that ran by. He's 6'6".
Good God.
Landon Jackson 6'6".
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
He's sick. Yeah, he measured at 6'6", 275 pounds, and just you could just see the way his game and the way he's grown, because he went viral for having that film. I believe he went viral. Let's just say he didn't look the best in his pass rushing drills. He went viral for a video because he didn't look the best in his pass rushing drill. But he a grown man. I'm telling you, whoever gets him, if he's not I'm looking at Landon Jackson as like a good like second or third. Honestly, I don't see him dropping past the second round. I think he's that talented. So, but yeah, the combine. I've seen a lot of, yeah. I've seen a lot of talent jump off the page. What's the guy from who's the guy that ran the 40 today for the corners? Ran a 4.29. What was his name?
Oh, let
I
me look
forget
it
the
up
guy's
right.
name.
I know exactly who you're referring to. BRF. Let me
It's
look him
got
up.
it. I think he went to Kentucky.
Yes, he did. See right here. Something. Dang, Wi-Fi is so slow. But hold on. Yes, I got him right here. Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky.
Maxwell Harrison. Yeah, ran a 4.29. I feel like with corners, if you come in the league with that type of speed, I feel like if you have any type of game that translates to the next level, if you come into the league with that type of speed, it's going to show up in your film. So I think that's the biggest thing with corners is like what I want to see. It ain't necessarily just about the speed. It's about how your game translates, how you play man, how you play zone, how to jamming the receivers, how reading routes, being able to make plays and stuff like that. I feel like that's very important as far as corners and safeties for that matter, because it's about your dropbacks. It's about you being able to read, being able to stop the run, being able to place in the field, being able to cover back in the defensive backfield. I think it's just as important for safeties too, even though you're not necessarily asked to cover a receiver one-on-one as much. Your ability to read the field and read the offense is just as important, if not more, than a corner, just from the standpoint you're usually the last line of the defense. So I think it's really important. So I think one safety that I'm really intrigued about, what's the guy's name? Nick Emerory, however you say his name. They're calling him like the DK Metcalf of safeties. He's like 6'3", 230, playing safety.
Nick
It's got
Emanwari
yes.
from South Carolina.
From South Carolina is like 6'3", 230, something like that, but has the range, has the shiftiness and all that of like a smaller dude, but he's in the 6'3", 235 and 230 pound frame. This is why I love the combine, because this is where you kind of dig in and you see like guys. You're gonna hear about the names, you're gonna get the common guys, you're gonna get the name brands, but then you're gonna dig and you're gonna see the guys that come out of nowhere and kind of make a name for themselves at the combine and really get noticed and possibly get get drafted higher or get drafted. So this is why this is like one of my favorite times of the year, just from the standpoint of I'm trying to zone in, trying to see who's out there. Like I said, I would say so far though, the guys that have really, as a Falcons fan, if I'm the Falcons and I'm at 15, James Pierce Jr. or Jihad Campbell better be in an Atlanta Falcons uniform with the 15th overall pick. That's how I feel. That's how I feel we should go.
All right, fellas, let's move on to some entertainment. Now, last week I introduced a new topic for the Sports PSP pod. We're doing it again, baby face or heel. Now, for those who may not know what baby face or heel means in wrestling terminology, baby face means good guy hero, heel means bad guy villain. So I came up with 3 certain athletes or celebrities, and we will decide whether baby face or heel. BRF, I'll let you go first. Caitlin Clark.
Mm, I think right now, with her, I have to go babyface. I'd have to go babyface with Caitlin Clark just because I feel like the steps that she's taken since she's entered the WNBA, and particularly her stances on certain topics that has really shined the light on her and her personality and her individuality is really it helps her a lot. And the fact that I think she's probably arguably already a top five player in the WNBA right now, which is crazy, just being a rookie. But I don't think that's a crazy take to say she's already a top 5 player in the league. So I mean, and she just there's really if there's any, and the thing is, even if you wanted to try to paint her as a heel with like some of her, I mean, she trash talks. I mean, she runs a mouth. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. She run a mouth. Let's not get it twisted. She looking for conflict. She's gonna run a mouth, but it's always the ones that run their mouth but yet can back it up are the ones that stands out. And she has shown a knack to. She put her money where her mouth is, and she back it up. And you can't, and I mean, honestly though, outside of that, I mean, she speaks well. She speaks well. She carries herself highly. She doesn't get in I mean, no sense of trouble at all. Good head on her shoulders. And like I said, just certain stances that she's taken on certain topics just really puts her in a higher light, and it makes you want to root for her. It makes you want to root for her. So I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna go Caitlin Clark, babyface.
Champ?
She has to be a baby face. She has to be. It was like her against the league at one point. Do y'all know the name? And not to mention, she got a lot of technical fouls last year as well. Because of some of that baiting that people was doing. They was kind of just picking on her. If y'all remember correctly, because I was covering the WNBA for a while now, but when everybody started paying more attention to it, y'all remember what I said at the beginning of the season last year? Because they was out there knocking the hell out of Caitlin Clark. I said, look, y'all need to go get an enforcer or something. Y'all need to go do something. I remember myself specifically saying that I had that video was everywhere on TikTok. Like, y'all need to go get an enforcer or something. And ironically, of all people, Draymond Green said the same thing. Y'all need to go get an enforcer or something.
That tells me people are paying attention to your content, Champ.
Yes, but we won't go there. But, look, she has to be a babyface. She has taken the league into the stratosphere. She is the Larry Bird of this league at this point. And the thing is, at first she struggled, and you could tell that people wanted to see her fail. But as time went on, she was able to build chemistry with that team and do everything that she needed to do. Not to mention, if it hadn't, I will say this to this day, if it had not been for Asia Wilson,
she would have won MVP.
She would have been MVP. She would have been MVP.
We knew that she was, early on in that season, it looked like Angel Reese, but then Caitlin Clark was like, hold on, has anyone forgotten who I am? And it even got to a point in which Caitlin Clark wiped away the Rookie of the Year. Was she going to actually win the MVP? She was in the conversations for it.
Yeah. If it had not been for Asia Wilson, I think that they would have gave her the MVP. But the thing is, which Asia Wilson, although she won the MVP, she was robbed of the Defensive Player of the Year. But I digress because she could have did a clean sweep on everything. But if it had not been for Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark would have won the MVP because that season that she had, she broke nearly every rookie record in the league. And plus, man, not to mention you have a lot of, the old school hate when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Some of the old guard are really not fans of hers. Some of the founding, yeah. I was trying not to say names, but damn.
People are gonna ask. People are gonna ask, and at the same time, you ain't lying.
Yeah, some of the old guard have was not big fans of hers. And ironically, they were under the same umbrella when it comes to Nike. Shadür Sanders was the first one that had a Nike, but there was a lot of hate when it came to her. But the thing is, you have to commend her because although all of that hate came to her, she didn't dish it out or give it back. And not to mention, she pays homage. She pays homage to those who came before her.
Yes.
She pays homage, regardless of how much hate she gets from the old guard. She pays homage and acknowledges each and every last one of them and recognizes that they built the league. She recognizes it. And the thing is, when somebody recognizes the founders of their league while at the same time taking it to a better place than it was before, it's unbelievable. If you really ask the cat, because the thing is this, Caitlin Clark not only brought attention to herself, but she brought attention to players that the casual fan didn't really know about. The thing is, are we paying? You have to ask yourself this, because like I said, I've been watching the WNBA for a long time. But it's the casual fan paying attention to this historic season that Asia Wilson is having if Caitlin Clark is not there. I'm talking about the casual fan. I'm not talking about savants like you, myself, and BRF. Savants are going to pay attention. But is everybody noticing this season without eyeballs that the Caitlin Clark effect is having on the league? You're probably not noticing that this year. Are we talking about the three-peat that the Las Vegas Aces had the potential in order to do but failed to do? No. A lot of people are not talking about that if it had not been for Caitlin Clark in this league. So the thing is, like I said, she pays homage to a lot of those players that came before her, and she acknowledges the players that play with her. And guess what? People might try to say certain things, but it's like at the end of the day, it doesn't work. You can try to hate all you want to, but the fact of the matter is she does pay homage to the players that came before her. She said it, I think it was in the Time Magazine article about how many players built this league and the league was built on their backs. Yeah, she acknowledges it. So you can try to find a way to hate her all you want to, but it's just like if you keep fishing if you keep reaching like that, you're gonna break your arm eventually.
Babyface, because of what she has done, not only for college basketball but the WNBA, because constantly we're having a lot of conversations about it, and to the point with March Madness, and to the point, champ, she plays a huge role for the WNBA as far as now improving the ratings. People are now more tuned in to watch her play. I mean, she is the female version of LeBron. She's like the female version of LeBron. People are tuned in to watch her. I mean, if you go to a Dick's Sporting Goods, if you go to some sports store, you see the Caitlin Clark autograph signed basketballs, you see the t-shirts, you see the jerseys, because she plays a huge role. I mean, and her game is relatable because, again, of her passing, her playmaking, her shooting ability, her shot creation. And we knew that she was going to be a hell of a player coming out of the draft. And to BRF's point, he's talked about the social issues that Caitlin Clark has mentioned. And she's not afraid to say what's on her mind. So that's the thing I also respect about her. And I love it. And I also think Babyface, because she's transcendent for all the right reasons, helping the WNBA elevate. Because a lot of times, champ, we talk about more of the WNBA more than we talk about the NBA.
Yeah,
And guess what? NBA, you better be careful. You better start doing something as far as promoting, because the WNBA, although they don't have the same resources as the NBA, but hey, people are tuned in because they're tuned in to see Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, all the others. And I just think that Caitlin Clark, just being a role model for women in general, is also great on and off the court, no off the court issues, anything like that.
yeah,
And I don't want to sound disrespectful or unfair to Angel Reese, but champ, it's easy why people would say Angel Reese is a heel, because Angel Reese does a lot on social media and stuff like that. Caitlin Clark doesn't. Caitlin Clark is more quiet. She doesn't go on social media, IG, TikTok, or anything like that. Angel Reese does that. Angel Reese also has her podcast. So that's another reason why people would say babyface other than a heel, which I think is unfair to Angel Reese, because Angel Reese, hey, I don't blame her for doing that, because again, she's got to earn a living. It's not always basketball. You got to try to find other ways to capitalize on the opportunities that are out there. So another reason why people would make that argument for babyface than heel, because I feel like it's easy to hate on Angel Reese because of her personality, her going on social media, etc.
yeah. It's very, very easy to hate someone when you're seeing them a lot.
Yeah.
It's very easy. I mean, you're at Met Gala, you are at all of these social functions, you have your podcast, but at the same time, guess what? She has improved her game. She's been working with the great Lisa Leslie, and guess what? Unrivaled 2 nights in a row. She had a 2020. She had two 2020 games back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and one of those 2020 games, hey, guess who was guarding her the whole time? Nafisa Corrier. If you don't know who Nafisa Corrier is, that's the reigning defensive player of the year. And she absolutely went out there and cooked. So, and I know people are going to say, well, that's 3-on-3. That puts you in a lot of other one-on-one situation. And when you're one-on-one with the reigning defensive player of the year, who is a big theirself, then
Yeah.
guess what? You deserve a lot of credit. The thing is, I never understood the hate for Angel personally. I did not. I did not. I still don't.
Well, you know how it all started, champ, because remember when they finally beat Iowa, she did the John Cena, Caitlin Clark signature, the John Cena, "You Can't See Me," and she got a lot of blowback. And then ESPN's Keith Olbermann talked about her and criticized her. Even, and shout out to Ashley Nicole Moss, who works on CBS Sports, who used to work at for Brandon Marshall's podcast, I Am Athlete, and also worked at Sports Illustrated. She called out Keith Olbermann for the criticisms of Angel Reese. And look, Angel Reese is outgoing, and that's fine. You know, I mean, Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, she's not on social media all the time compared to Caitlin Clark, compared to Angel Reese. I'm sorry, because Caitlin Clark, what does she do on her off time? She probably plays golf. She does charity events, stuff like that. Angel Reese, you see her everywhere, clubs, the Met Galas, stuff like that. You see her with
Yeah,
Lotto. You see her with Mariah the Scientist or Glorilla or any other artist. I mean, heck, you even saw her with Cam Newton.
yeah.
So
Like, it's easy to hate someone when you're seeing them a lot. I mean, it's the same thing that Magic Johnson went through. You see him on a lot of commercials. You didn't necessarily see Larry Bird on a lot of commercials. You know, you saw him on some. He was very, very selective, but you see, and the thing is, even with that, everybody called him out on that because, you know, there's no all of this being class policemen when it came to
it's
sports.
just
Social
trash talking.
class.
It was just
Nobody.
trash talking.
It's a trash talking sport. There's no such thing as class when it came to show some class when you're winning. People always want you to show class when the person that you don't want to win wins. And then it shows some class. But when the person you want to win wins, then you all of a sudden, oh, talk trash. Yeah. But hey. But the thing is, it's so easy to hate because guess what? You're seeing me a lot more. I mean, you're seeing me every single day. I'm all over the place. At the same time, I'm still playing basketball, putting up 2020 against the reigning defensive player of the year. I put up 2020 playing literally one-on-one with the reigning defensive player of the year, and people still got something to say about it. I just cooked the reigning defensive player of the year, a person who beat out the greatest player in the WNBA in Asia Wilson. I just cooked her, and my team won, and you're still talking. I mean,
exactly.
You get criticized for wearing a dress. You get criticized for wearing a dress. Since when the hell? This is my thing. When Cameron Brink wears something like that, do we say anything? Hell no. When Rakia Jackson does the same thing, her face card don't decline either. Do we say anything? No, we don't. So all of this additional hate is so unnecessary.
Well, there are certain people in the media. Hell, I'll say his name, Jason Whitlock, who will say the outrageous, ridiculous takes on somebody like an Angel Reese.
Well, the thing is, with guys like that, Drake had a what was that song? Spin on You. And you remember that song? Remember that line he said? Just turned on the news and saw a man that blank, blank, blank. Go back and listen to that song. That describes Jason Whitlock. That second verse that Drake said, just turned on the news that seen a man that never blank, blank, blank. That's what Jason Whitlock is. And not only that, like I said, when you're putting up the numbers and you're showing people that you're serious about your craft, how can you hate that? I mean, I'm working out with the greatest player, arguably in their era, in Lisa Leslie. And the thing was, even Lisa Leslie said the same thing. I need you to work on your layups. I'm glad of the work that you're doing, but you need to work on that. And guess what? She worked on it and she's been shining. It's going to be interesting to see what they do as far as the Chicago Sky, because they didn't make a lot of the big moves that I thought they was going to do. Granted, they got Ariel, but
they also lost their score, as you mentioned.
They lost Kennedy Carter. I thought they was going to keep Kennedy Carter. They did get Ariel Atkins, but I don't think that they didn't get the super player that I was hoping they would get. I was hoping that they waited and got Aussie Fudd from Connecticut. Yeah, I was hoping that they get her, or even Olivia Miles from Notre Dame, and just build it from scratch. But they wanted to get Ariel Atkins, which great player, but I think they was kind of impatient with that. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens this year. So, hey man, look, you can hate on Angel all you want to, man. Guess what? She was an all-star. She was a national champion. I mean, granted, she hasn't made all NBA yet, but I think that is in her future at this point. I believe she'll be an all-star again this year.
All right. Next one for babyface or heel. I think it's pretty unanimous. Micah Parsons.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's heel.
Yeah. It's heel. It's heel. It's heel. I mean,
have you heard some of the things he said on his podcast, champ?
Yeah. And particularly, one of the last things he said, I think he had said something along was, if he hadn't won a championship by 30, and if Kansas City was to come call him, he heading right on over. He heading right on over there. But I mean, the podcast, some of the things he said on the podcast. Huh? No, but
he's in Dallas.
No, but you ain't there yet. You ain't nowhere near 30 yet. slow your roll a little bit. You don't know what gonna happen between that. You don't know what gonna happen between now and then. You might luck up it. You might go to a team and luck up in you and get one. I mean, the damn show ain't gonna be Dallas, but you might luck up and go someplace else and get you one. I mean, you don't know. You don't know. But yeah, just between the and honestly, wearing that star on your helmet and if you're brash and you got a lot to say, that's gonna do a lot of it too. But it's like it's not just that. It's just like,
Do you know the
oh
things he
god,
said about with the Eagles, considering the fact that he is a Pennsylvania native and played at Penn State?
What do you think about Eagles?
mm, go yeah. I want you. I can't. I think I remember, but you probably have it.
I'm about to look it up right now.
I
But
mean,
again, it's a heel because again, when you play for America's team and when you have a podcast like him and when he's known for the statements that he makes, and again, the Cowboys, at best they have to trade him because you're probably not going to give him a long-term extension. So what are you going to do? You better trade them. I hope he doesn't go to Philadelphia because again, that just elevates the Eagles' chances. That'd be just like
They can't get everybody. They can't get everybody. They in the Myles Garrett sweepstakes. We talking about Michael Parsons. They can't get everybody. But you're right though, because they're gonna try to get him. But my God, man.
I
Mhm.
mean,
And
look,
apparently, there was a report, saying that apparently Howie Roseman is ready to move on with some starters to try to go get Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
You just won a Super Bowl, and you really gonna try to up some pieces for Myles Garrett,
Why, why
bro?
why have I told you before about Howie Roseman? He's like the best executive in football because he's unafraid to make that type of decision.
Oh boy,
He's just doing that because he knows for a fact that the Commanders are going to try to make a push to try to get Myles Garrett in the trade, and he's doing everything he can to prevent that by having Myles Garrett come play in Philadelphia. You already have Jalen Carter, you have Jordan Davis, you have N'Kobe Dean, you have Cooper DeJean. How much
him on
more
that
do you
defensive
need?
line, bro. Him on that defensive line beside Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Like, my God, bro. My God. That would just
think
be
I don't
that's
think he's
cruel
going
and
to
unusual punishment.
I don't think he's going to Philadelphia.
I don't think he is either, but that would be cruel and unusual punishment if
I
that
think
worked
he's
out.
going to the West Side. I think he's going to San
Vegas?
Francisco.
I don't know.
I think he's going to San Francisco.
I don't know if Dallas was willing to trade him still in the
My
NFC.
my thing is this. I think Cleveland's already kind of played their hand a little bit with it. They know we know they want at least 2 first-round picks for him. We already know that.
Yeah.
So it just depends. So it just depends on which team is willing to give up those assets. I don't know if San Francisco willing to give up the assets. I think Washington be willing to give up the assets.
I don't think they should though. I mean,
I don't think they
I'm not a
should.
Commanders fan,
No, I don't.
but
I
I don't
don't
think
think.
they should.
I don't think they should because again, they have over $80 million in cap space. I don't know. I can't imagine Michael Parsons playing for Washington, especially with Jerry allowing that. No, I think he's going to probably go to some team in the AFC. That's what I would see him doing. Hey, maybe Michael. He could go to the Raiders or the Titans.
BRF, I got
I'm
a
trying to
question.
think. All right,
I got a
shoot it.
question to ask you.
Okay.
Who first in the third round would you welcome it if Atlanta said let's get Micah Parsons?
For how much?
2 firsts and a third rounder.
A first, a third, and Kyle Pitts. I'll take him.
Fair enough.
A first, a third, Kyle Pitts. I'll take him. Just like I feel like I don't know. I don't know. My only thing is I don't think Atlanta's gonna move Kyle Pitts because Michael Penix has already started talking like I like him. I want to keep him here. So I don't think they're gonna trade him. Even though the reports are they're open to doing it. They're very open to trading Kyle Pitts. I would go Kyle Pitts the first and the third. Bring him here.
All right. But back to Babyface Heel. BRF, you and I, we agree Heel with Micah Parsons because of his personality, his podcast, not to mention he does play for America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who, let's be honest, all three of us are getting tired of talking about the Dallas Cowboys. But at the same time, when you have the star on your helmet, when you are America's team, when you're worth, I don't know how much money they're worth. They're worth $8-9 billion. I mean, obviously, you're going to have the attention. And the fact that Micah Parsons does a lot of trash talking, but the thing is, Micah, and look, I've put this on Jerry Jones. He's not changing. Jerry Jones is not going to get ahead with the times, but the reason why he's considered the heel is because just like everyone in the Dallas Cowboys, they're disliked. And he does do a lot of trash talking, and he does his podcast. Remember, Champ, the great Lawrence Taylor called them out with the podcast. Hey, if you want to be great, if you want to be this great dominant football player, perhaps you take time off from the podcast and get back to working on the football field.
Yep. That's a fair assessment. I'll go with y'all and go heel.
All right. Last one, and I think this is pretty unanimous. Jalen Hurts, babyface.
Oh, most definitely, baby.
Well liked. Not to mention his management team, his client, agency, management, all women. By the way, last day, Black History Month, Jalen Hurts loves himself some black women, loves himself some sisters, like we all do here on this show. Let's not forget that.
Yes,
and also the journey for Jalen Hurts. You know, Alabama went to a national championship his freshman year. No shame losing to Deshaun Watson and Clemson. The following year, gets subbed in for the national championship for Tua Tagovailoa. He stays for Alabama the following year, helps Alabama win that game against Georgia in the SEC championship game. For those who may not know, that was the game in which Tua Tagovailoa lost the Heisman Trophy because amongst the competition that year, Georgia was his toughest test. He didn't play particularly well in that game, and he was injured. Jalen Hurts was the backup at that time, and the Crimson Tide scored 14 unanswered points to come back and win that game. And also, too, it does help for me that he did play for my school for a little bit, Oklahoma, OU. So I also have a side with Jalen Hurts. Great man, class personified, doesn't get into any issues off the football field. Great ambassador. You also look at his story. He was drafted in the second round. Not a lot of people thought he was going to succeed in the NFL as a quarterback. Gets drafted by the Eagles with the second round. It was supposed to be Carson Wentz's team. Because remember, Carson Wentz in his second year, had it not been for injury, he would have won the league MVP. And he has proven that they can move on from Carson Wentz and hand the franchise to him. He's won. He's won a Super Bowl now. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. He's been to multiple Pro Bowls. Had it not been for the injury in 2022, he would have won the league MVP. People have forgotten about that. Do I think he's elite? No. I still have him top 10. Just because you necessarily win a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP, I'm not going to say you're elite just yet. I still need to see more. Because to your point, Champ, and you mentioned this on Thomas's podcast on The Hop, the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Philadelphia is their defense, Saquon, and also their offensive line. Boy, that offensive line does make a hell of a lot easier for Jalen Hurts. But if you look at Jalen Hurts as leader, heart and soul, he's even had to do it with all the reports about him and AJ Brown not having the best relationship in the world. Hey, he's proven he could win. He's proven if you could put me in the right situation, I can succeed. I can flourish. And he's only 26 years old. And he's also, and even though he has a lot of money, he doesn't really spend that much money. It's not like he has like a big mansion or anything like that. And also, he dresses the part. Look how the way his outfits that he wears pre-game look like he should be on the cover of GQ or something. You never know.
Or either New Jack City.
New Jack City. But when you look at Jalen Hurts, great guy. To this day, have not heard one negative word about Jalen Hurts, the human being. So that's why I say it's babyface, and I think it's pretty unanimous.
Agree. Definitely got to agree with that. I mean, the way he carries himself, even though he went to Oklahoma that one year, when you see his mannerisms, when you see his interviews, I mean, it's Nick Saban to a T. His mannerisms, like his quotes, things he say as a leader, what he learned from Nick Saban, you can just see the Alabama just flow out of him. So I mean, it's just basically, I mean, he's basically like them. He's basically a model. He's basically a model citizen. Add to the fact that right now he is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in this league. Some people have him top 5. I don't have him that high, but he's in the conversation now. I feel like if you want to put him at 5 with his resume, it's not ridiculous, and it's not ridiculous. I don't think it's ridiculous with his resume. It's not ridiculous. I will say, where was these people last year? But I digress. But I'll say with his resume, it's not the craziest thing, because you have to look at it when you want to look at the Herberts and the CJ Strouds and guys like that. I mean, are they really good? Yes, they're really good. Jalen Hurts bring a resume now, so you kind of have to take that into consideration. But going back to this, and like being a model citizen, being the heart, even though you don't think about him when you think about the Philadelphia Eagles offense, you're trying to stop Saquon Barkley first. I mean, let's face it, Jalen Hurts, I think, is the heart and soul of that offense because of how he can play the quarterback position, the fact that he gives you a burden off of Saquon Barkley from the standpoint of you can't put 8 guys in the box on him because he showed that in the Super Bowl. You try to stack 8 in the box on Saquon Barkley. If your secondary ain't up to par, he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. But yeah, just everything he stands for. Just and the fact that you brought up the all women management team, the all black women management team, and that, I mean, how you can't not respect for a brother like that for putting a group of sisters on the map like that. You cannot be mad at a brother for doing something like that. So shout out to Jalen Hurts. I agree with you all the way. He's definitely a babyface because he's somebody that you can root for because he does everything the right way. He goes about everything the right way, and he gets it. He understands it, and he wants the best not only for his teammates but for himself. So yeah, I agree with you all the way. Straight, yeah, 100% babyface.
Champ?
Babyface, man. Oh, look, Jalen. Leadership. Look, y'all basically said everything, man. And look, I put him in top 5 conversations, and this is why. Here's why. A lot of guys have had a hell of a lot more talented teams than he did, and they still couldn't get it done. We've seen it. So I put him in those conversations, man. Is this we've seen a lot of guys in Lamar Jackson. He had a hell of a team, 2 straight years. Had a historic defense, and then the very next year, a historic offense. Still couldn't get the job done. Saw Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, then without Stephon Diggs. Had a good team, couldn't get the job done. We've seen guys, I mean, the irony about Jalen Hurts is he gets less credit for winning the Super Bowl than a lot of guys do for losing it, excuse me. He gets less credit for winning it than guys that have lost the Super Bowl. People still talk about Joe Burrow slaying the dragon against Patrick Mahomes and going to the Super Bowl to this day. And then Jalen Hurts just did that yesterday. Not literally. He just did that yesterday. And yet some media members will find every reason to say, well, look at the team around him. Hell, every team has had talented players. There's been a lot of talented teams that did not do anything. Hell, look at Jim Kelly. Look at Fran Tarkenton. Look at Randall Cunningham. He had a historically great defense, a great offensive line, great receivers, great running backs. He didn't get it done. There's been a lot of guys that have had great teams and couldn't get it done. Jalen got it done. Not only did he get it done, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes both games. One or two things happened. We're talking about another guy that has multiple Super Bowls. Another black quarterback that has multiple Super Bowls. So, hey, the media can say whatever they want to about Jalen Hurts, man. I put him in these conversations because he deserves to be there. And quite frankly, like I said, there's been a lot of other guys that has just as much talent on their team, if not more, and they could not get it done. And when you bring the talent on your team and guys get it done, that's a plus. So I ain't got nothing but respect for Jalen Hurts, man. I wish you would have played for Oklahoma the entire time, but that's the only thing I hate about you, Jalen Hurts. I wish you just would have played for Oklahoma. I wish I did not have to see you them first couple years at Alabama.
Wouldn't have won a national championship with Lincoln Riley. Come on.
So I just wish I wouldn't have saw you them because you just, if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts and Tua, I have at least 3 to 4 national championships right now. That's the only thing I hate about Jalen Hurts.
And for Eagles fans who getting on my case, I'll say it again. I never said he's elite. I'll still stand by that, but I said he's top 10. And I do think he's a great person for people to look at and emulate.
Yeah, them the same fans that wanted them traded last year, so hush.
Yeah, the same fans who still keep asking me for my NASA hat. Nah,
Yeah,
we won't even go there.
Yeah, the same fans that wanted him traded last year wanted him in trade talks, was trying to run him out of Philadelphia. So if you still talking about that video,
they wanted him benched after the Carolina game when the Panthers almost went in there and beat him. They wanted him benched after that game.
Yeah, so Philly fans, y'all some of the most wishy-washiest fans in the world. Y'all love somebody one minute, they hate them the next minute. So
except Broad. Except Broad.
Except for Broad. Broad, this don't apply to you, Broad. You booed Donovan McNabb. You ran him out of town. You ran the coach out of town who went on to build a dynasty. And so, but Philly fans, if you got something else to say about just someone just because they don't have someone in elite conversations and they don't agree with what you say, go kick rocks. Go down the street in the state of Georgia, walk down the street and find the first rock you can kick. And so kick rocks because you wanted the same guy traded last year. And you have more criticism for him and Nick Sirianni than anybody else. In reality, the front office don't get a lot of these coaches and these players traded in that franchise. Y'all do, because some of the most visceral fans in the world. So hush.
All right, y'all, let's move on to some other entertainment. Wrestling. I didn't come up with favorite wrestler wrestler regarding moment. But if you had to pick past or present in their prime for a dream match, who would it be and why? Champ, you go first.
Oh man, who would it be and why? Dream matchup. We've seen a lot of them, and they just flew under the radar. One of the dream matches, and I hate to bring up this person because I know he's not very liked at this point, but I gotta say, for the sake of passing the torch, I have to say Hogan and Bret Hart. Hogan and Bret Hart. The reason why I really feel like that was a missed opportunity for the WWE and for WCW. We had a chance to see it not once but twice. I really feel like that was a missed opportunity for both companies. I feel like that it was a missed opportunity for WWE because that was your chance to pass the torch from the golden era to the new generation era. That was your opportunity. And can you imagine? And that should have been that could have been the main event at WrestleMania. You know, and I really feel like that should have been one. Bret Hart, as much hate as he gets, he's one of the best wrestlers of all time. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And to see him not get put over in a proper way to put him over the golden goose, I think that was an injustice to his career. And I think had Vince McMahon, had he done that, that would have brought a lot more attention to the new generation era than it did. Can you imagine Bret Hart going over on Hulk Hogan in a pay-per-view? Because even in the early 90s as Hulkamania, he still had a lot of steam. So I would have to say Hulk Hogan versus Bret Hart. Another one, dream matchup, Harlem Heat versus the Usos.
Mm.
Harlem Heat versus the Usos. Two of the greatest tag teams of all time. I mean, Usos, one of the first tag teams to main event WrestleMania. Harlem Heat, one of the most underrated teams in history. You name them, they beat them in WCW. They even beat my favorite tag team of all time, the Road Warriors, in a short-lived feud. And so when you talk about tag team wrestling, I think Harlem Heat is overshadowed because, people, they really paid attention to, the tables, ladders, and chairs. They paid attention to the Dudleys. They paid attention to Edge and Christian and, the Road Warriors. But I think they kind of get lost in tag team history. They were one of the best tag teams of all time. Booker T being one of the biggest superstars ever in wrestling and Stevie Ray being the powerhouse for Harlem Heat. I think that would have been a good matchup between them and the Usos because they both could go. It wasn't like it wasn't like Booker T and Stevie Ray, they were statues. They could move around in that ring. They could move around. So I think that, Harlem Heat versus the Usos would have been one of the greatest matchups in history. And not only that, not only would I want them to go at it, I wanted to be 2 out of 3 falls.
Interesting. I'm gonna go Shawn Michaels versus, God rest his soul, the late great Eddie Guerrero. And the reason why, because of their in-ring ability. They're not the same person. However, they have a lot of similarities. They're from the state of Texas. Shawn San Antonio, Eddie Guerrero, El Paso. Charming, charismatic, the woman they loved. Obviously, the sexy boy, the boy toy, the heartbreak kid, Latino heat. When Eddie became Latino heat in WWE, and once he started making his charming moves on the late great China, rest her soul, hey, and the personality, the swag that they had, Eddie with the low riders, Shawn Michaels with the outfits that he wore, and of course, in ring, their ability to like jump, they can wrestle with the best of them. So they may not be the same person, but they do share a lot of similarities, and they did a great job as far as connecting with the audience. And another one, Kurt Angle versus rest his soul Owen Hart from the athletic standpoint. Because you have the Olympic gold medalist and Kurt Angle going up against Owen Hart, who you even argue, BRF, he's better than Brett. He can match up with the technical, and he also has great athletic skills as well. So I would love to see that match too, Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart. Go ahead, BRF.
All right. I got a few of these actually. Okay. I'm gonna start with the tag team matches first. All right. I would love to see Prime Hardys versus current Lucha Brothers. I would love to see that. Prime. I would say Let me see. Not even like attitude, not even attitude era Hardys. 2000, 2007, like when they reformed, they were like Team Extreme. '07 Hardys versus like when it was like they could. I mean, they were like they could do the aerial stuff, they could do all that, but then they were more of ground based because I mean they were getting older. They were more like I feel like their most complete as a team was probably like '07, '08 or whatever. Them versus current Lucha Brothers. Like, and we got Penta in WWE now. I just feel like it's only a matter of time before Phoenix gets there. I can't wait. I can't wait for the WWE to get Phoenix and unleash the Lucha Brothers in the tag team division. That's gonna be That's gonna be the scariest thing the tag team division has seen in a long, long time. When those two join up and get over there, oh my god, that's gonna be some magic. But I would love to see Prime Hardys versus the Lucha Bros. Um, another one from a tag team perspective that I really would I don't know. I would like to see I would like to see New Day, particularly Kofi and Big E versus the Hart Foundation.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just it's something about that. The speed and power contrast with Kofi and Big E, and then you got Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It's something about that I would just like. I feel like I would enjoy the New Day versus the Hart Foundation. I feel like I would really enjoy that match. I really would. I feel like there would be some good storytelling. There would be some hella wrestling. And I just feel like it would be some good spots. And I just feel like it would be a good tag team match. So those are probably two of my biggest dream tag team matches that I like to see. And as far as individual, there's so many like like I think I told the story one time. Shawn, like you mentioned, Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero. I think that was supposed to be, if I recall, that was supposed to be the WrestleMania 22 showcase match. But then unfortunately, Eddie Guerrero died. But I think they were trying to, because you know how they like to write stuff in early and all that other stuff as far as like WrestleManias and stuff like that. I think that was the WrestleMania, the 22 in Chicago. I think that was going to be the showcase match, and I just hated Eddie didn't get to live to see it. But that, man, if we got that WrestleMania 22 in Chicago, and don't get me wrong, because Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon, that was a hella spectacle of a street fight for WrestleMania 22. That was a tremendous spectacle. But the Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero would have tore the house down. It would have tore the Allstate Arena just down. And I just hated we couldn't get to see it. So I'm right there with you on that one. But I would love to have gotten to see. Gosh, I'm thinking.
Pull out the rabbit out the hat. The one you said when we was on our pod, RVD versus Will Ospreay, Prime.
Oh yeah.
Prime, oh yeah, Prime ECW
Yeah,
or Rob Van Dam versus current Will Ospreay. Oh
yeah.
yes,
Y'all remember
oh
you said
yes,
that? Yeah.
oh yes, bro. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, Prime, like ECW television champion run, Rob Van Dam versus this Will Ospreay would feed so many families and generations. Folks don't understand because people always talk about RVD was a spot monkey and all this other stuff. People don't get how good of a wrestler Rob Van Dam really was in this time frame. Like him and Jerry Lynn would put on some really, really, really good matches in ECW. So somebody and Will Ospreay, who's arguably one of the most explosive athletes we've ever seen from a wrestler standpoint, with another one who's arguably the most explosive athlete we've seen from a wrestler standpoint, would just be so crazy. I would love to see Prime ECW or Rob Van Dam versus Will Ospreay. And I got one more. I got one more from a singles perspective. You know what? Since we're talking about since we're talking about Shawn Michaels, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I would have loved when Shawn Michaels was trying to make with I don't know what. No, I'll take that back. Prime Shawn Michaels versus Prime AJ Styles.
Yeah, you mentioned that argument before. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, because they teased it at one point when AJ first got to WWE, was going to WWE. They teased it, and Shawn was like, he was still kind of in between before he did that tragedy of a match at Crown Jewel. But that's neither here nor there on that one. But yeah, definitely Prime Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles. I would love to see that one. I would love to see that one. I would have. You know what though? Give me Prime Kurt Angle versus Bryan Danielson. Just to soothe my soul. Just to soothe my soul. Give me Prime Kurt Angle versus Bryan Danielson, arguably the two greatest technical wrestlers in the history of the sport. Just give it to me one time for old time's sake.
I
Just
I,
give it to me once.
I have a good one. Prime Mick Foley versus Prime Rusty Soul Bray Wyatt.
Cactus Jack or Mankind?
Probably Mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say the unpredictability standpoint. Yes. Yes.
Y'all wouldn't mind seeing that match?
Yeah, I love to see that match.
Bro, not just for the match, the promos leading up to that match. The promos leading up to that match. Oh my god! I don't think we be trying to predict who gonna scare the other one first because I don't think it's gonna work.
Yes. Yeah. Another one. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Champ. No, go ahead, Champ. No, it's all good.
Another one that I would love to see, as far as families is concerned, God rest their soul. Two of the biggest wrestling families in history in a classic War Games match. The Von Erichs versus the Harts.
Yeah.
Ooh, you cooking with that one?
There is no two bigger families in the history except I can't pronounce their name, except for Roman Reigns' family. Noie. Except for them, there's no two bigger families in wrestling history than the Von Erichs and the Harts. So I would have loved to see them at their peak go at it in a classic War Games match. The Texas Tornado, Mike Von Erich, and that entire family, you hate the tragedies that happened, but you also hate that you did not get to see them at their peak in the 80s.
That's an interesting point.
You hate it because although you saw them on cable TV, it was back then it was still regional promotions, still a regional thing. So you really didn't get, I didn't get to see, the Dallas promotion up here in Georgia. Up here, it was Georgia Championship Wrestling in WCW. I didn't really get them down there. It wasn't until recently that we really it wasn't until the early 90s that we really started looking at the AWA because they was on ESPN after school. But the biggest two families in history, as far as dream matches were concerned, I would love to see classic Fall Brawl War Games match, the Von Erichs and the Harts. And I would love to see Kerry Von Erich and Bret Hart start off the match.
Oh my god.
That'd be great.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
I'm surprised we never even mentioned. You mentioned Champ Hogan, Bret Hart. We never even mentioned Hogan Austin. I'm surprised we didn't even mention that. I mean, I don't know if people would be tuned in to watch that match, but
Hogan and no, let me tell you something. When Hulk Hogan, when they reformed the NWO back in what was it, 2002, 2003, whatever, when they reformed it, and they got into that feud with Austin and Rock, whatever, I seriously thought they were going to do that. I thought they were going to do it, but I just felt like that. I think they did The Rock, which, don't get me wrong, was a Hey, let me tell you something. People can talk all they want about Hulk Hogan and The Rock not being the greatest wrestling match. You don't watch Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus The Rock for the wrestling. You watch it for the show. You watch it for the entertainment side of it. You watch it because of the spectacle. That's what you watch for. You know that match is going to be a great wrestling match because Hulk Hogan, I mean, not a good wrestler. We know that. But what Hulk Hogan does, he makes you feel. He tells a story. And I seriously thought they were gonna let Hulk Hogan win that match. But let me tell you, yeah, Hulk Hogan. I still think the two biggest missed opportunities that WWE have missed out on was capitalizing on the momentum the NWO had, and they went well. I guess with Hogan and Rock, there was a little more of a story to tell, but even still, I think they could have if they could have did Hogan versus Austin. And then I think the single biggest missed opportunity is Sting and the Undertaker. I still think it's the biggest missed opportunity is Sting versus the Undertaker, but it's because when all those guys jumped from WCW to WWE, Sting didn't. He just got his money and just relaxed. He went to TNA and had a hella career in TNA before he finally did go to WWE. But that time frame was like what messed up Sting was the back injury he suffered. Because I felt like if Sting doesn't suffer that back injury and Night of Champion, he's beating Seth Rollins and he's winning the World Heavyweight Championship that night. They had to change that up on the fly. They had to change it up on the fly because he was going to beat Seth Rollins that night. They had to change up. But I seriously felt like if he had stayed healthy, that run he had, I seriously think they would have done it. I think they would have done it. So I think Sting Undertaker's I would have loved to have seen that one time. And I think we were on the road to get it, but because Sting got hurt, we couldn't do it.
Sting and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, I would have liked that. I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that too.
Kurt Angle's AJ Styles.
We saw that.
But
Did we see that in TNA?
we got it a bunch of times in TNA, but I would have loved to have seen it like if AJ Styles had made the jump to WWE earlier, I would have loved to have gotten it then, but we did get it a bunch of TNA, and they put on sick matches. When Kurt Angle and AJ Styles got together in TNA, boy, they never had a bad match.
One, because for my guy Austin, him in his peak versus Brock Lesnar in his peak.
Yeah,
That would have been nice. That would have been nice. That would have been nice. The fact they even teased like a little feud that they had just made it so just unfair that we couldn't get it because they teased the hell of it. So it's like, okay, let them do it once, but then Brock, that the WrestleMania story. Brock and Goldberg left, so you kind of know that story. Like, damn, that's another one. I'm trying to think. Do I have any more in the clip? Hold on.
Shawn Michaels versus The Rock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
In
great
a ladder
one.
match.
That's a great one.
In a ladder match.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could. Oh, yeah. I could see that. I'm trying to think. I know I got at least one more in the clip. Past or present.
Andre.
Undertaker versus Andre.
Andre the Giant, yeah.
That'd be a hell of a match.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. Last man standing
match. I would have rather seen Big Show versus Andre.
How about Mark Henry versus Andre? The world's most strongest man going up against Andre the Giant?
You just want to see that, just see if he can get him in the World Strong Slam one time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, I got to have one more. I got to have one more in me. I got one more. Hold on. Let me think.
Take your time.
Mm, I don't know, man. There's just there's so many that I really would have liked to have gotten a chance to see, but like
Vern Gagne versus Hulk Hogan.
mm, Bruno Sammartino versus Hulk Hogan.
Mm.
Yeah. I would have loved. I would love. You know what? Just from the entertainment standpoint, I would love. I would, man. Bruno Sammartino versus Hulk Hogan. Yeah, that that would, in their primes, that would do numbers. That would do numbers. That really would. Um,
Going back to tag team, the Road Warriors versus the Usos.
You mentioned that, champ.
mm,
Yeah, I say Harlem Heat.
Oh, didn't you say that before the Harlem Heat?
No, I
Okay.
said Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan. But
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I'd love to see the greatest tag team of all time, in my humble opinion, the Road Warriors versus the Usos. They call it the Road Warrior Pop for a reason, bro. They put tag team wrestling on the map. I would love to see that ground and pound game versus versus the high flying and the maneuvering of the Usos. The Road Warriors, I love the Road Warriors, man. I wanted the shoulder pads just like them. I wanted the shoulder pads just like them, man. Two very, very kick butt type of guys who just can put on a good wrestling ring, put on a good wrestling match. And I'm talking about the Road Warriors in their prime, not the early days of Road Warriors, because everybody know the reputation that the Road Warriors had in the early days. Like in the early days, the Road Warriors, you just would have they just told you off the get go, look, you coming in this ring to get your butt kicked. Just let you know that when you walk in here. But the Road Warriors in their prime tag team wrestling, I think them and the Usos, I think two of the greatest tag teams of all time, man. I would have loved it.
Shelton Benjamin versus Seth Rollins.
oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh gosh. You know what? You know what? You know what? I would
the Hurt
love to
Business
see.
versus Evolution.
Their athleticism. I mean,
Mm,
even though Shelton is not really great with mic skills or promos, but Seth does bring that component. And in the ring, as far as the athleticism, the moves, I would love to see that match.
Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko versus Brian Danielson.
Mm.
I would love to see. I would, from a technicality standpoint, I would love to see Dean Malenko and Brian Danielson. Just from a technical standpoint, I would love to see that. I got one though. I would, if and when, if he stays healthy long enough to I don't know if he's ever going to go to WWE, but if he was to stay healthy and he keep, I Kenny Omega Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins and my life would be complete. Give me Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins, or give me Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns versus Soul Umaga.
Mm. Mm.
But
I
hey,
like that one too. I like that one too.
fellas, unfortunately we got to move on. But hell of a wrestling topic, and guess what? For next week on the Sports PSP Pod, favorite Jeff Hardy moment.
Oh, we finna shut that segment down next week.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. And last but not least, BRF, you go first. Favorite Bobby Brown track.
um, favorite Bobby Brown track. Do I like it more in New Edition or do I like it more solo? I probably like it more in New Edition, but I will say this though: my prerogative will never not be a banger. My prerogative will never, never, never not be a banger. Mm-mm. From a single standpoint, my favorite single song is probably is that one and the gosh, Honestly, I'll take that back. My favorite song with him as a single star is the Ghostbuster song.
On Our Own.
On Our
Yeah.
Own, yeah. It's the Ghostbuster song. That is my favorite. That's my favorite Bobby Brown track. I don't know. I was a huge Ghostbusters fan growing up anyway. I mean, the movies, man, let me tell you something. The movies, I watched the cartoon. I dressed up as I dressed up as gosh,
Mr.
which
Stay
one?
Puft.
Huh?
You talking about the marshmallow?
No. I actually dressed up as one of the Ghostbusters when I was little for Halloween. I dressed up as
Winston.
God, no. What was no Harold Ramis's character? What was his name?
I forget his name. I remember Winston by
It
name.
was it was, but it was. I mean, it was the cartoon version. But I
Yeah.
dressed up as his character, like had the mask, had the suit, and everything. It was like one of the. I can't remember. I was like 5 or 6, but it was like one of the coolest things I did. but but yeah, from a single standpoint, On Our Own is my favorite Bobby Brown track from a singles perspective, and then I'm trying to think because him and New Edition. I mean, I still feel like
Mr. Telephone Man.
yes, I like that. Cool It Now.
Yes.
I love Cool It Now. I love Cool It Now. And then but then a lot of their like then you see the thing is I don't want to just single him out because I mean it's New Edition, so I don't want to just single him out. So I'll just stick with him from a singles perspective. It'll probably be I'll probably go On Our Own, my favorite Bobby Brown track.
Champ.
Oh man. When it comes to On Our Own, I think about that song more though than I do the Ghostbusters theme when I think about the Ghostbusters, to be honest with you. I'm just being very, very honest about it, man. I just look when I hear On Our Own, the first thing I think about is the Ghostbusters. I'm like, okay, man, the Ghostbusters is on. And for them to have it in the middle of the movie is like it that was crazy. Yeah, they just need to go ahead and change the theme, you know what I'm saying? On Our Own need to get
No,
Ghost.
no. Don't take Ray Parker Jr. is still the GOAT. Don't take that from him. Ray
I'm
Parker
not.
Jr. is the GOAT.
That's just me being the fan guy. Let me see. Favorite Bobby Brown moment. Favorite Bobby Brown track. We got something in common with him and Whitney Houston. That was a good one. That was a good one. I love that. My prerogative, as always. I mean, I loved it. I know it wasn't his song, but the way he did this song, it made you forget it was Ja Rule's song.
Doug
Thug
Lovin'.
Love. Yeah. The
By the
way
way,
he
shout out to Ja Rule. Today's his birthday.
shout out to the great Ja Rule, man. Thug Lovin', the way he look, hey, that's one of those songs like you forgot it was Ja Rule's song. It's like Bobby Brown, and the way he came in with all of that energy in the video, man, came to kick the camera, had the Mike Vick jersey going on. Not to mention, man, look, one of the biggest things that he did in that video, he had the Lynn Byers jersey on. Paid homage to the late great Lynn Byers. So that was a cool thing that he did.
Not to mention he from Boston.
Yeah, he is from Boston. He is from Boston. Shout out to the Boston. My prerogative, Tenderoni. Man, it's so many that you just can't even name. So Fine. Ain't nobody humping her. Ain't nobody. Got a funny story about that song when we go off the air. But ain't nobody humping around there. And what really comes out to mind after that was the way Jim Carrey made a parody out of it on The Living Color. That was even funnier. So the great Bobby Brown, man, got to give him credit, man. That was he was epic, man. The way he was able to rock the house, the way he was the first quote unquote bad boy of R&B, that was cool, man. Had the dance routine, had the Gumby going on with the hairstyle, had the look, had the routines, could dance, could sing, could rap, could do a lot of things, was multifaceted. And
New Jack Swing.
yeah, that New Jack Swing. That was
Him and Teddy
that New
Riley.
Jack, Teddy Riley, man. One of the most underrated producers in the world, man. Gotta give him credit, man. Too many Bobby Brown songs to name, man. And a lot of great moments. I mean, but like I said, that one he did with Whitney Houston, we had something in common. I know it was a duet, but I love seeing that. That was something special.
He took one of the songs right out of my head, but as you always say, great minds think alike. Well, I love the song Champ about something in common is because it actually shows that Bobby and Whitney have a lot more in common, contrary to what the media and the public may say. They say Whitney is the princess, the princess of pop. Bobby's the ultimate bad boy with R&B. Nah, they have a lot more in common. Whitney from them streets. People have forgotten that. Whitney from either East Orange or Newark, okay? Whitney from them streets. And I love something in common. Every little step. Just to dance in with Bobby. And then near at the end of his verse, when he adds the rap song. I mean, the style, the swag that he brought for R&B, particularly in the late 80s, and how he incorporated it with hip hop. So that made it so cool with Bobby and just his swag. And during his time with New Edition, that song from the album Home Again back in 1996, it was the remix with the producer. I'm not going to say his name, but You Don't Have to Worry. The Bad Boy remix. And with also Missy Elliott. Just look at the music video, listen to the song. Bobby did amazing with that song. But every little step, My Prerogative, Roni, and from his album Bobby, That's the Way Love Is. I love that beat. I love that song. And something in common, man. Can't go wrong with something in common. But fellas, next week for the Sports PSP pod, favorite the Dream track. So stay tuned next week for the Sports PSP pod. Always a pleasure having y'all on the pod. Also, shout outs to my guy, Brandon from the block. Please go like and subscribe to his podcast. Thank you for hopping on, Brandon. You're always more than welcome to hop on. Any final comments before we wrap it up?
I started off. Yeah, I apologize, everybody. Jumping in kind of late. I've been feeling like crap all week. Started early Tuesday morning. It's rolled into the weekend. Like I told Champ, it's iffy. I like y'all were talking about the scouting compound. I felt up to it. It's iffy. I'm gonna be on the pod tomorrow night. It just depends on how I'm feeling. But I kind of want to get on here, show y'all some love. But hey, if y'all got TikTok, y'all follow me. BR Sports at the TikTok handle. The link tree is in the bio. And follow these two brothers here. They are putting in so much good work. They're doing so many good things. Just we gonna keep on doing the thing. We appreciate the love and support. One quick thing though. We didn't even say "Don't Be Cruel" for the Bobby Brown song.
Don't be cruel.
I just had
We
I had
did.
to throw that in there real quick too. But I digress. But yeah, like I said, BR Sports TikTok handle, link tree is in the bio. Follow the Facebook, the Twitter /X, the IG, and if any of y'all are feeling froggy in the link tree, I do have my own personal Discord. If y'all do want to hop in and talk some sports, Y'all can hop in on that too. I got an open link. Click it whenever y'all want to join. Feel free to join in. Come on, find me. We'll have some fun. But like I said, I was telling Champ, is if y'all show up tomorrow, just depending on how I'm feeling. I just wanted to hop in, show some love. But hey, I can't leave y'all without the slogan. The topic I thought about is the topic I talked about. But y'all just wish me well. I'm getting better. I'm getting there slowly but surely. Hopefully by Monday, I'm back at work. I pretty much missed a full week of work. Hopefully I'm back Monday. But hey, I just want to get out and shout out my boys. So shout out to the chat. Shout out to Flash. In case I haven't talked to you, if you see this, So y'all, I'll holler at y'all. But again, appreciate the love and support.
Champ.
In serious mode, let's get out of character. Be safe out here. Read the room. I will say this: always read the room and be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you may be. And remember, you don't want to find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Make sure that you apply yourself in everything that you're doing, and have a good weekend. Have fun, but be cautious. Like I said, the biggest lesson is read the room. And God bless each and every last one of y'all watching the show. God bless my guys here, man. It's always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to share the stage with y'all, as always. But be careful, man, and just read the room. Know when to read the room, know when to walk, know when to leave. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for those words, Champ. Thank you again, BRF. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and look, man, Sports PSP podcast. Y'all know where to follow me at. Follow, like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as IG, as well as TikTok. Sports PSP 3. 86,000 now we've reached over, so hopefully we'll try to get 90,000 probably by the next 2 weeks. But no, it's great. Really happy with all the success that we've had on the Sports PSP pod. We're going to continue to do amazing, great things. Hopefully we'll try to see if we can try to get some certain guests on the show. Love to get some certain guests on the show just to give their perspectives. Who knows? I would love to have Jim Cornette on the show. It'd be great for me, Champ, BRF, just to talk to a guy like Jim Cornette about wrestling, the psychology of it, how he got into the wrestling business, and also, of course, colorfulness. But as always, stay safe. I know it's the last day of Black History Month, but hey, always remember, Black people, you're always remember you're beautiful, smart, intelligent. Don't always continue to do what you can do, the best that you can possibly be, the best that you can possibly be. That's all I can say. Even though it's the last day of Black History Month, just continue to be excellent. Continue to strive for excellence. Continue to strive to be great. Next month is March. Expecting the weather to be much warmer because Lord knows I've been dealing with a lot of cold and snow in New Jersey. And I know Champ has had his fair share of cold and snow down in Columbus, Georgia. But on a serious note, please stay safe. Please be responsible. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. And as Champ has often mentioned, please be around family and loved ones and try to spend as much time as you can because nothing is promised. Nothing is guaranteed tomorrow. So y'all stay safe. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. And we is out. Peace.